She puts on her apron and is going to cook for Lucian Gray, but she hears Lucian Gray lying on the sofa saying, "Do you really think you're a daughter of a well-to-do family? You work very slowly. Are you lazy on purpose?" Lucian Gray used to be ruthless, but he never bothers Nina Morrison about trifles of life. Now Nina Morrison is responsible for the hygiene of the apartment. He is critical of her work. He looks at the handrail of the stairs she has just wiped and his brow frowns. "It's not clean. You go and wipe it again." When Nina Morrison finishes cleaning the stairs and just wants to take a rest, he says, "Clean under the carpet." Since Nina Morrison began to live in this apartment, he hardly ever goes to the company. A lot of things are dealt with online. Nina Morrison feels very painful. Every day she lives under Lucian Gray's eyes and is criticized by him. It's like that Nina Morrison owes him a debt. Nina Morrison is busy every day. She cooks and cleans the house over and over again. Strangely enough, she does so much housework but she doesn't feel sick. The baby in her stomach seems to be very sensible to stay in her mother's stomach. She has no severe pregnancy reaction. A few days later, when Lucian Gray comes back from the company, he brings back a thick menu and hands it to Nina Morrison, who is squeezing fruit juice. "Learn the dishes on this menu. I'll invite some friends over for dinner in a few days." Nina Morrison takes over the menu and immediately feels vexed. This recipe is very thick. There are Chinese and Western food, cold dishes and desserts. There are all the dishes in the restaurant on the menu. Sushi, steak, braised snails, dessert, stewed vegetables, noodles served with bean sauce, dry pot, soup pot, Mandarin duck pot. There are many dishes she has never heard of. Nina Morrison looks at the menu and bites her lip in embarrassment. "This is too much. In a few days, I can't learn it. Otherwise, you might invite your friends to a restaurant. I'm afraid I'll make you awkward because I'm not good at it. Here's a recipe. You can't miss it." Lucian Gray's eyes are cold. "There are too many dishes for me to learn in a short time. Think of your own way. If you can't learn it, your father's operation will be cancelled." Nina Morrison stands there. Her head bows and she lets Lucian Gray scold her. Her shoulders are so thin. Lucian Gray's eyes are cold. He reaches out and takes back the recipes. He takes out a few of them and throws them to Nina Morrison. "Are these easy? In the evening, I'm going to have small steamed buns and pancakes." After that, instead of looking at Nina Morrison, he goes upstairs. Nina Morrison looks at the recipes he has left behind. Obviously he has considered it. These ingredients are available in the kitchen, but most of the practices are complex and cannot be learned casually. It's really worrying. Nina Morrison can't make buns. She has to follow the recipe and start making dough. As a result, she does not master the scale well. The dough is either too dry or too wet. She is busy all the morning, but she doesn't even pinch out the shape of a steamed bun. It's time for lunch. Lucian Gray comes downstairs on time with a magazine. He goes into the kitchen and sees Nina Morrison kneading the dough. He is discontented. "Why haven't you cooked yet?" "I'm cooking, but I'm afraid you can't eat steamed buns at noon." Nina Morrison wipes the sweat off her face. She stands all morning and is exhausted. "Then do it again in the evening. Quickly take out the other meals." Nina Morrison has been kneading the dough without making any other food. She blushes and washes her hands in a hurry. She quickly cooks a simple meal. She takes lunch to the table and Lucian Gray looks at it. He doesn't pick up his chopsticks and frowns. "Is this the lunch you make for me? How can I eat this?" "You can eat with chopsticks. You are so picky," Nina Morrison mutters in her heart. Her face is still respectful. "If you're not satisfied, I'll make another one." Lucian Gray's eyes fasten on Nina Morrison. "Your meal is not well cooked. Are you not satisfied with me?" "No, I just don't learn the new recipe very well. I'm a little rushed in time. Nina Morrison respectfully apologizes. She tells herself in her heart that she needs to bear with him. I have no appetite. Make some dumplings. You made dough all morning. You should learn it. In the big kitchen, Nina Morrison's wrist is sore. It takes a lot of effort to make the dumplings. As a result, Lucian Gray takes a lazy look at the dumplings on the table and doesn't taste them. I've been waiting too long and I'm not interested in dumplings anymore. I want fried rice. Nina Morrison is aggrieved and angry, but she has no choice but to bring the dumplings back to the kitchen and cook fried rice for him. Nina Morrison's embarrassment seems to be Lucian Gray's pleasure. He no longer uses violence against her but is keen to criticize her cooking, her attitude, and even the clothes she wears. Everything is his pleasure. Nina Morrison is scared of going into the kitchen now. Lucian Gray purely embarrasses her by saying that he wants beef for dinner at noon. Nina Morrison is afraid of being criticized. She cooks all kinds of beef dishes, and when it is almost ready in the evening, Lucian Gray says in an uninterested manner, "I don't want beef tonight. I want mutton." Nina Morrison has to cook dinner again. In this way, it's too late to finish the meal, so Lucian Gray will say, "You're getting dumber and dumber. I'm thinking about not paying your father for the operation." Nina Morrison is afraid that he says so. As soon as she hears Lucian Gray says this, her stubborn head droops down and she whispers, "I won't do it next time." Lucian Gray frowns and doesn't look at her but drinks all the mutton soup. Nina Morrison has been pregnant for 3 months and her stomach has begun to bulge a little. But she is thin and her clothes are loose, so there is no sign of pregnancy at all. The baby is also very good. Nina Morrison has a surprisingly large appetite and dozes off every day. She is so tortured by Lucian Gray that she can hardly stand it. But Lucian Gray seems addicted to the game of tormenting Nina Morrison. He often does not go to the company and specializes in watching her do housework at home. He often arranges some inexplicable things for her to do. Nina Morrison thinks the living room floor is as bright as a diamond. From time to time, Lucian Gray orders. Nina Morrison has to work all day long. She is very tired, and when she goes to bed at night, she doesn't think about anything. She goes straight to sleep. 2 days later, Lucian Gray asks Nina Morrison to replace all the bedsheets and bedclothes in the room. It is clear that there is a very advanced washing machine, but he doesn't use it. So Nina Morrison has to wash them by hand. Nina Morrison rolls up her sleeves and rubs the bedsheets and bedclothes with her rough hands. She puts a full tub of water in the big bathtub, then throws them into wash. She bends over to wash by the bathtub, and when the sheets are washed, her clothes are soaked through. The wet clothes stick to her body. She stands up. Nina Morrison feels low back pain and some pain in her lower abdomen. She is secretly worried and hates him in her heart. He knows she is pregnant, and it is difficult for a pregnant woman to do such things. It's so inhumane. Nina Morrison scolds Lucian Gray in her heart. Nina Morrison is relieved when she goes to bed to lie down and rests for a while. The pain in her lower abdomen eases a lot. She's been bent over and tired. "Baby, mother is sorry for you." Nina Morrison is distressed. Other pregnant women will be cared for by the whole family like a queen and will not do any hard work for fear that the baby in the stomach will have any problem. But no one cares about her baby except herself. Lucian Gray wants the child to die. Nina Morrison suddenly shivers. He asks her to do so much housework, probably to kill the child in her stomach. Run away. As soon as her father's operation is over, she will tries to take him out of the city. It's dangerous for her to be around Lucian Gray. Nina Morrison secretly draws up an escape plan. Lucian Gray lets Nina Morrison eat whatever she wants so she has good nutrition during pregnancy. Lucian Gray sometimes has a sarcastic tone. "Look at you. African refugees are more comfortable than you look. You have to eat more food in the future or other people will think that Lucian Gray withholds the ration of my servants. The weather has been fine these days. One afternoon, Lucian Gray looks out of the window at the swimming pool and suddenly talks to Nina Morrison. Put the water out of the pool and clean it well. I'm going to swim in the evening. Okay. Nina Morrison has a headache looking at the big swimming pool. After draining the water in the swimming pool, Nina Morrison takes a brush and detergent and goes down to the pool to start cleaning it. She stoops and repeatedly washes the wall of the swimming pool. After a while, she is so tired. She leans over the pool for a while and then turns on the tap to wash the place she has just brushed carefully. The sun slowly sinks and becomes a huge red sun hanging in the sky. The orange glow casts soft warmth on the garden, but Nina Morrison is cold all over. When she washes the pool, she can't control it properly. The water often splashes out and wets her clothes. It's time to cook dinner. Nina Morrison dares not delay any longer. She glances at the half-clean swimming pool, sighs and goes to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Before she can change her semi-wet clothes, Nina Morrison hurries to wash her hands and begins to wash and cut vegetables. Lucian Gray, who has always had a light diet, wants to eat spicy Sichuan food today. That is exactly what Nina Morrison wants. She likes spicy food now, but Lucian Gray has a light diet. She is so greedy that she bought a bottle of spicy sauce and put it in the kitchen. When she wants to eat, she scoops up a few spoons. Today's water is very cool. Coolness passes down both hands to the whole body. Nina Morrison is wearing semi-wet clothes and sneezes several times while cutting vegetables. She makes a mapo bean curd, a boiled fish, a dried chicken and clam soup. After this period of exercise, Nina Morrison's cooking has been quite good. Nina Morrison can't wait to eat these dishes, which are beautifully colored, red and spicy in the soft yellow light. Nina Morrison sets the table and goes to the study room to ask Lucian Gray for dinner. Lucian Gray is talking to someone on video. It seems that he is in a bad mood. Nina Morrison looks at him. There is a middle-aged graceful man on the computer screen. Lucian Gray sees Nina Morrison come in and turns off the video call. He stares gloomily at Nina Morrison. Who allowed you in? Nina Morrison says, I just knocked at the door. You didn't answer me. I thought you agreed to let me in. Lucian Gray looks at Nina Morrison's long wet hair. Is the swimming pool cleaned? Nina Morrison thinks she's unlucky. Not yet. But I'll clean it as soon as possible after dinner. Lucian Gray snorts coldly and stands up and goes downstairs with Nina Morrison. Nina Morrison breathes a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Lucian Gray doesn't get angry. She looks at Lucian Gray's gloomy face and decides to speak as little as possible. The more she talks, the more mistakes she makes. Just as she sits down at the table, Nina Morrison's belly makes a loud noise. Lucian Gray looks sideways. She does not know whether he despises or mocks. Nina Morrison blushes with embarrassment. Baby, I know you're hungry, but don't shout so loudly. Nina Morrison blames the baby. Lucian Gray picks up the spoon and begins to ladle the soup. Nina Morrison hurries to eat. This is the meal she longs for a long time. Mapo bean curd is delicious. Boiled fish is delicious. Dried chicken is delicious, too. Nina Morrison is so absorbed in her meal. Nina Morrison is almost full. She slows down and looks up. The dishes in front of Lucian Gray are clean. It seems that he has eaten nothing except clam soup. Oh, why don't you eat? Nina Morrison eats dried chicken in her mouth and asks Lucian Gray vaguely. Lucian Gray leans back in his chair. I just watched you eat. Did you starve to death in your last life? Don't I make you full? You look awful at dinner. Nina Morrison spits her tongue. She seems to be eating a little too fast. She has been doing housework all afternoon and is already hungry. She likes all these dishes today so she eats fast. Lucian Gray says, "Cook Sichuan food tomorrow." He goes upstairs. Nina Morrison is shocked. Nina Morrison thinks, he doesn't seem to like spicy food. Why does he let me cook Sichuan food tomorrow? Does he find out that I love Sichuan food? Is he taking care of me? Then she shakes her head and denies her idea. Lucian Gray cannot care about others. He can't take care of me like that. Nina Morrison can't understand, so she has to stop thinking. Now the most important thing is to clean the swimming pool before Master Gray loses his temper. The street lamp gives off a cool light. The light is encircled by a small glass cover. It's dark around the swimming pool. The shady trees are like a cloud of smoke, dim and silent. Only the insects in the grass make long and short calls, which make everything lonelier. Nina Morrison is wearing heavy rain boots. She sweeps hard in the swimming pool. Her arms become sour and her wrists hurt more and more. The energy she has just eaten seems to have disappeared. She feels cold all over and has no strength at all. Nina Morrison climbs exhausted from the bottom of the pool to the ground. She gasps with exhaustion. A cold wind blows and she shivers with cold. She looks around at the cold night. All grievances turn into sadness and large tears fall down. She curls up and leans against the lamp post beside the swimming pool. She is so sad that she does not want to cry loudly. She puts her hand over her mouth and makes a dull sob. The sky is so gloomy that no star can be seen. It seems that a storm is coming. Nina Morrison sits alone under the dusk street lamp. Her tears flow down her face like floods. Her grievances and sorrows grow stronger and stronger. Nina Morrison sits there. The walls of the swimming pool reflect a dim light. The light shines on her thin shoulders. "Don't cry." A voice sounds in the silent night. Nina Morrison is still sitting on the ground sobbing. After a while she responds. She turns her head and sees Lucian Gray reflected on the water. He comes quietly to the swimming pool. He looks down at her. His expression cannot be seen in the darkness. His voice is faint. Nina Morrison's grievances erupt. "Get out of here. Leave me alone. Don't pretend to be a good man." Nina Morrison wipes tears from her face. She cries out loud. Lucian Gray frowns. He walks over and pulls Nina Morrison off the ground. "What are you crazy about?" He finds that her body is not right. He strokes her forehead again. Her forehead is hot and there are tears on her face. Lucian Gray is nervous. "Damn, you're having a fever." He picks up Nina Morrison and goes inside. He ignores Nina Morrison's kicking and screaming. "Be good." Lucian Gray's voice is impatient. But the strength in his hands is much lighter. Nina Morrison is a little confused. She ignores Lucian Gray's comfort and still cries, "Get away. Don't touch me. Get out of here." Lucian Gray holds her thin body in one arm and her legs in the other. He lowers his voice in her ear and says, "If you move again, I'll throw you into the swimming pool and let the baby in your belly die with you." The cruel words sober Nina Morrison. The baby can't have an accident. She must protect the baby. Nina Morrison is so frightened that she hugs her belly tightly. Lucian Gray still carries her into the bedroom. Lucian Gray carefully lays Nina Morrison flat on the bed. He takes the feather pillow to find her the most comfortable position and then takes out the thermometer and stuffs it under Nina Morrison's armpit. Nina Morrison's pale face becomes red. Her forehead is hot. Lucian Gray frowns. He looks worse than Nina Morrison. "You are such a fool. After you clean the swimming pool, you have a fever. I have never seen such a silly woman as you." Nina Morrison is powerless and does not want to quarrel with him. She does not resist any of Lucian Gray's actions. During the few minutes of temperature measurement, Lucian Gray suddenly leans over Nina Morrison's face and looks at her carefully. He doesn't seem to know her. His eyes are serious. He doesn't seem to have seen Nina Morrison clearly. What are you doing? Nina Morrison is horrified by his eyes and struggles to get up. You're still cute if you don't talk. Lucian Gray pushes Nina Morrison down on the pillow. He roughly pulls out the thermometer from Nina Morrison's armpit. Be gentle. I am a patient. I'm still pregnant. Nina Morrison feels dizzy. Are you a patient? Because you are too foolish to take care of yourself. Are you pregnant? The baby in your stomach is not mine. Lucian Gray says coldly. He doesn't look at Nina Morrison and just looks at the thermometer. Lucian Gray's eyes suddenly open wide. The thermometer shows 39 degrees. Lucian Gray looks at Nina Morrison, who is confused and flushed. He does not reprimand her. He helps her cover the quilt with a sigh. He picks up his cell phone and dials a number. Ryan, get me an ambulance. Be quick. Lucian Gray goes to the storage room, takes out the medicine cabinet, dips the cotton ball in alcohol and cools Nina Morrison physically. First he takes off her semi-wet clothes, then her white underwear. The white and delicate body under the clothes warms Lucian Gray's throat. He thinks that taking off her clothes will be strongly resisted by her. When Lucian Gray is ready for Nina Morrison's outrage and resistance, he finds that Nina Morrison is asleep. A teardrop hangs on her long eyelashes like dew on a petal. Her cheeks are thinner but more beautiful. Her pale lips are tightly closed as if there were things in her dream that made her unhappy. Lucian Gray stares blankly at Nina Morrison's sleeping face. He reaches out his forefinger and touches the outline of Nina Morrison's face. She has thick eyebrows, a tall, small nose and a pointed chin. Lucian Gray's fingers gently touch Nina Morrison's face. There is an inexplicable emotion in his heart. This emotion seems painful and sweet. Nina Morrison, you fool. Lucian Gray mutters. His fingers are still on her face. At this moment, Lucian Gray even thinks that it will be good if Nina Morrison can sleep like this all the time. Now Nina Morrison is very good and does not resent his touch. She opens everything to him. Lucian Gray likes this Nina Morrison. The phone rings pleasing. Lucian Gray picks up the phone. Ryan's voice rushes through. President, the ambulance can't come now. It's raining heavily outside and a road is flooded. The ambulance is blocked on the road. Well, Lucian Gray goes to the window and opens the curtains. He finds that it is raining cats and dogs outside the window. The sound insulation of the room is so good that he did not hear the rain. Lucian Gray frowns. He can only keep cooling her down physically now. Nina Morrison is pregnant and cannot take antipyretics. Lucian Gray looks at Nina Morrison's belly. He is jealous. Every time he sees Nina Morrison and thinks about her baby in her stomach, he gets angry. But he doesn't want to let Nina Morrison go. He wants to see her every day. Lucian Gray keeps wiping Nina Morrison's body with alcohol, but the temperature does not seem to drop. He calls to urge the ambulance, but the ambulance is still blocked. It's still raining. Lucian Gray has no choice but to get angry with Ryan. He roars and orders him to do something quickly, or he will fire him. Lucian Gray has never been so nervous. He lets Nina Morrison lean on him. He hugs her tightly across the quilt. His heart is filled with panic and fear. He knows that high fever can damage the brain. Fever in pregnant women has a fatal effect on the fetus. At this point, he does not hate the fetus in Nina Morrison's abdomen so much. Anyway, she is the baby of Nina Morrison. Whoever her father is, she has Nina Morrison's gene. Thank goodness, the ambulance is here at last. Ryan is soaked and comes with emergency doctors. He has never seen Lucian Gray so nervous that he threatened the police car to lead the way. So the ambulance bypassed the congested section. Ryan looks at Lucian Gray's gloomy face and is too scared to breathe. He quickly directs the doctor to carry Nina Morrison to the ambulance. Two doctors go to the window, Take out the stethoscope and listen to Nina Morrison's heartbeat. They open her eyelids and tell Lucian Gray, she only has a common fever. Infusion will help her recover. She just has a common cold and has a fever. They come in the middle of the night in the heavy rain and get wet. Doctors grumble in their hearts and are ready to take Nina Morrison away. Stop. Lucian Gray walks up to the bed and blocks the doctor's outstretched arms with his body. He says indifferently, "Don't touch her, I'll hold her. It's okay. It's a common cold. Don't be scared like that." A doctor misunderstands Lucian Gray. He said casually. Lucian Gray's brow tightly wrinkles and he twists the doctor's collar. His low voice is angry. "Okay. Is it okay to have a fever to 39 degrees? If something happens to her, I'll let you die." The doctor also hears about the power of Gray Group. When he hears the words of Lucian Gray, he bursts into a cold sweat and quickly nods. "Yes, we will treat this lady well. Please rest assured." The doctor looks at Nina Morrison involuntarily. She is very ordinary and plain-looking. The famous President Gray is fascinated by her. Rich people have a strange taste. It may be that their quarrel wakes Nina Morrison. She opens her eyes and looks at the crowd around her bed. She recognizes the white coats. They are doctors. How could doctors come here? Is Lucian Gray going to kill her baby? Nina Morrison forgets that she is feverish. She just wants to protect the baby in her stomach. Lucian Gray reaches out and lifts her out of bed. "Nina, let's go to the hospital." "Hold on a little longer." "No, I'm not going to the hospital. This is my baby. Nobody can hurt him." Nina Morrison is a little confused. She's incredibly strong and struggling in Lucian Gray's arms. Lucian Gray is afraid of hurting her. He has to coax her. "You're sick. We're going to the hospital. When you recover, I'll take you abroad, okay? Be good." Nina Morrison cannot hear Lucian Gray. She is struggling. The motherhood makes her look like a wild wolf. Lucian Gray feels that he cannot control her. He rushes to the ambulance. Nina Morrison sees an ambulance in the yard and confirms that Lucian Gray is taking her to the hospital for an abortion. With all her strength, she reaches out her nails and grabs Lucian Gray's face. Her sharp nails cut Lucian Gray's face. There is a deep blood stain. Ryan next to him is white with fear. The hospital supplies he is carrying drop on the floor. He looks at Lucian Gray and Nina Morrison with wide eyes. Nina Morrison is really going to die this time. Who is Lucian Gray? She rebels and scratches his face. Lucian Gray loves his face. This prevents him from going out in the future. "Nina Morrison, you and your baby will die." Ryan has a little sympathy for her. Lucian Gray is also shocked by Nina Morrison's action. His cheek hurts a lot. He reaches out and touches the bright red blood. Nina Morrison scratches his face. His dark eyes suddenly become darker than the night. The rolling anger makes Lucian Gray's eyes red. Nina Morrison is still kicking. Lucian Gray thinks he is going to be furious. He frowns and stares at the struggling woman. Her cheeks are red. Her beautiful long hair has been wet with sweat and scatters on her face. Her lips are gray and her eyes are glazed. She looks very awkward. There's no sense of beauty at all. But Lucian Gray finds that he can't be cruel to her. If other women dare to do this to him, Ryan will drag her out and kill her. But he can't be cruel to Nina Morrison. He likes her tact, naughty and even madness now. Lucian Gray sighs and controls Nina Morrison. His voice is very gentle. "Well, don't move. I know you're not feeling well now. You'll be okay after seeing the doctor. If you are so bad and refuse to go to the hospital, the baby will die in the stomach." Ryan is shocked. Lucian Gray is scratched in the face by her. Instead of being angry, he coaxes her patiently. Amazing. The world is crazy. Nina Morrison hears Lucian Gray mention the baby. Her heart aches. She raises her red face and looks at Lucian Gray. Lucian, don't kill my baby, okay? I love her very much. I will be a good mother. My mother died when I was very young. I miss my mother very much. Lucian, don't kill my baby. I want to be a mother. Please. Tears fall from Nina Morrison's eyes. Her vulnerability and helplessness are pitiable. Lucian Gray suddenly has some heartache. His mother left him in the most tragic way when he was very young. Lucian Gray holds Nina Morrison tightly. He presses his stubble cheek against her hot little face. His voice is gentle as if the girl in front of him was his most precious person. How could I kill your baby? She's safe in your stomach. No one dares to hurt her. You'll have a beautiful baby in 7 months. You're right. You must be a good mother. Well, don't worry. I'm by your side. Don't be afraid. Nina Morrison knows that nothing will happen to the baby. She has no strength. The struggle just now consumed all her strength. Lucian Gray is an asshole. But she feels she can trust Lucian Gray's assurance. Lucian Gray says he will protect her and her baby. He can certainly do it. Nina Morrison raises her face to Lucian Gray. She gives a big smile. Her hands clutch at Lucian Gray's shirt. Her voice is dependent and grateful. Lucian, it's very kind of you. Thank you. Lucian Gray hears Nina Morrison's words and his heart trembles slightly. Nina Morrison thanks him for the first time. Does she finally accept him? Lucian Gray looks at Nina Morrison asleep in his arms and lowers his head to gently print a doting kiss on her forehead. She wakes up and realizes that she is lying in a quiet ward. This ward is very large. It has about 100 square meters. It's different from the general crowded and cluttered ward. It has a large bathroom and an open kitchen, and equipped with refrigerator and television. It even has fitness equipment. Although everything is open, with green plants and furniture for functional zoning, it looks almost as comfortable as an apartment. Apart from the various device buttons on the wall and the fetal heart rate monitor at the bedside, it is no different from an ordinary apartment. Beside the bed stands a well-dressed middle-aged woman. She sees Nina Morrison wake up and comes over with a smile. Miss Morrison, you wake up. I cooked some porridge for you. May I bring it to you now? Although she is asking, it is impossible to refuse. Who are you, please? Nina Morrison is a little confused. I'm Paige. Master specifically asked me to come and serve you. Paige is also surprised. Who is the girl? Lucian Gray invited her from the old house to take care of her. She's Master's wet nurse. Her status is much more respectable than that of an ordinary servant. Where is Lucian Gray? Nina Morrison looks around and does not see Lucian Gray. Paige is a little unhappy. Master went to the company. She calls Master's name impolitely. She's just pregnant. But it's okay. It will also be good if Miss Morrison can have a son. Paige's face softens a little and she says, I'll bring you porridge and vegetables. You can eat and rest for a while. After all, you are pregnant and need more rest. Nina Morrison has no appetite at all, but she is embarrassed to refuse Paige's kindness. She has to eat a little. After dinner, she has nothing to do, so she turns on the TV. The news is on. It's boring. Nina Morrison is about to change the channel and suddenly sees a figure. Nina Morrison's slender fingers grip the sheets. Her eyes are wide open. The man interviewed on TV is Andrew Williams. He is her Andrew. He looks thinner, but his temperament is still so refined and elegant. Nina Morrison stares at the TV with longing and eagerness. She greedily stares at the familiar and strange face in the TV. She wants to engrave him in her mind and never forgets. President Williams, why did you contribute $50 million of the decoration fund to the Sea City Museum this time? The reporter's question is aggressive. Because of an old friend. I lost touch with this friend. I heard she is also in Sea City. She likes painting very much. I donates money to the art gallery. I hopes she can have a good mood when she goes to the art gallery to see the exhibition. It seems that this old friend is very important to you. Is she a gentleman or a lovely lady? The reporter questions. Andrew Williams has a good-tempered smile. She is a very lovely girl. There is a sudden uproar from the crowd around. President Williams, you are engaged to the mayor's daughter. Aren't you afraid your fiancé will be jealous when she hears that? The reporter immediately gets excited and feels that he knows another gossip. He even makes the headline for tomorrow. Andrew Williams hasn't forgotten his first love. The mayor's daughter is on the waiting list. Nina Morrison can't hear clearly what Andrew Williams answers on television. Tears rush out without warning. No explanation is needed. She knows that the very lovely girl he talks about is her. Her Andrew never forgets her. Andrew, forget her. She is not worth his attention. She is a dirty mistress. He is bright and happy. His life is 10,000 times better than hers. Nina Morrison buries her face in her arms and weeps quietly. She's like a wounded beast. She hides in the corner and licks the wound silently. Memories sweep through all her thoughts like water. It's too sad to say anything. Paige is cleaning the table. She can see clearly. She frowns with doubts. It seems that this President Williams on TV has something to do with Miss Morrison. But why is she pregnant with Master's baby? Paige shivers with fear. The door is gently pushed open and Lucian Gray comes in with a large shopping bag. Master, here you are. Paige's voice interrupts Nina Morrison's thoughts. She looks up and Lucian Gray comes back. She quickly raises her arm and wipes her tears. But it is too late. Lucian Gray has seen her tears. He puts down his shopping bag and frowns displeasantly. He walks up to Nina Morrison and reaches for her chin. What are you crying about? Are you not feeling well? Nina Morrison shakes her head, bites her lip and refuses to speak. Lucian Gray is used to Nina Morrison's stubbornness. He reaches out and brushes her tears rudely. Are you bored? Don't cry. I bought your favorite pudding. You eat a little and I'll take you for a walk in the garden later. After that, he sits next to Nina Morrison. He opens the pudding and feeds it to Nina Morrison. Nina Morrison looks at Paige standing by. She pushes the hand of Lucian Gray with embarrassment. Stop feeding. I'll eat it myself. Lucian Gray ignores her protests. He wraps her in his arms and bites her lip domineeringly. Be obedient. Don't resist. The intimate gesture transforms Nina Morrison's face into a red peach in an instant. Paige hurries out of the ward. After Paige leaves, Lucian Gray's actions become more extravagant. He stops feeding her and gently lifts her little face. You are so sweet. Lucian Gray kisses Nina Morrison. His low voice is full of male attraction. He went to the company today to do something but he was distracted at important meetings. He missed her. Half a day is like half a year. As soon as the meeting was over, he refused the board's reception and rushed to the supermarket to buy her favorite food. He drove all the way back. Sure enough, her breath is still so sweet. It's exactly the same as he fantasies on the board. Nina Morrison is a little dizzy. She seems to see Andrew Williams' face. His face is warm and handsome. He smiles and says, Nina, when you're 18, I'll take you to the sea. Nina Morrison rolls and screams in the whirlpool. She has never been so painful or so mad. Andrew, Andrew, Andrew. She desperately suppresses the scream she is about to blurt out. She clasps Lucian Gray's waist in both hands but her tears are falling on her face. Lucian Gray kisses Nina Morrison hard. The woman seems to have magical powers that can easily burn the flames in his body. Suddenly, Lucian Gray has a bitter taste on the tip of his tongue. He feels tears on Nina Morrison's face. Lucian Gray raises his head and his black eyes stare at Nina Morrison. What are you crying about? Nina Morrison is speechless. She cannot tell Lucian Gray that she is missing another man. She blinks and tells a lie. I'm not very comfortable. She just cried and has a nasal sound. It's like she's coquettish and flattering him. Lucian Gray is in a good mood. He likes Nina Morrison to act like a spoiled child. As long as she behaves well and doesn't hate him so much, even if she wants the moon in the sky, he can pick it up for her. Lucian Gray rubs her hair and kisses her on the face. I forget you are still sick. Have a good rest and get some sleep. Nina Morrison nods. She closes her eyes and pretends to sleep. The room is so quiet that only their breathing remains. Nina Morrison is tired of crying. She feels that she is exhausted and her eyelids become heavier and heavier. As she is almost asleep, she suddenly hears Lucian Gray's low magnetic voice ringing in her ear. Nina Morrison. Nina Morrison ignores it and goes on pretending to sleep. She is afraid that he will pester her again. Are you asleep? Lucian Gray pokes a finger into her face. Nina Morrison endures the pain. She remains motionless and continues to pretend to sleep. Lucian Gray looks at Nina Morrison sleeping soundly and mutters unhappily, "You're a pig. You're asleep so soon." His hand leaves her waist. Nina Morrison feels herself lifted from Lucian Gray's arms and gently held to the side of the big bed. He carefully covers her with quilt. Lucian Gray quietly gets out of bed. Nina Morrison is a little surprised. Lucian Gray has always been arrogant. How could he get out of bed so quietly? Nina Morrison still closes her eyes and pretends to sleep. Suddenly, the room becomes dark. The light is lightly turned off and the glaring light disappears. Then, her arm outside the quilt is gently put into the quilt by Lucian Gray. Her quilt is getting heavier, too. There seems to be something on her. Her cold body warms up instantly. Nina Morrison opens her eyes secretly and Lucian Gray covers her with a blanket. Lucian Gray turns around and Nina Morrison closes her eyes. The bed beside her sinks. Lucian Gray is lying in bed. He holds Nina Morrison's body. Lucian Gray holds Nina Morrison tightly. He clasps his hands around her waist like a child holding her favorite doll. Nina Morrison turns her back to Lucian Gray. She is so shocked that her eyes open wide. Lucian Gray's action stuns her. She can't tell what it feels like now. Shocked, unexpected, unbelievable, or something else. Her mind is in a tangle. Lucian Gray turns off the light and covers the quilt for her. Is it because the dazzling light makes her sleep badly? Is he afraid she will kick the quilt and catch cold? No, definitely not. Lucian Gray never respected what she said or did. How could he do these trivial things for her carefully? Nina Morrison can't figure out why Lucian Gray did this. She shakes her head helplessly and decides not to think so much. Lucian Gray behind is asleep. He breathes evenly. Nina Morrison laughs to herself. You said I am a lazy pig. I think you are. In a second you fell asleep. Nina Morrison gently removes Lucian Gray's hand from her. She rolls over and lies flat and soon falls asleep. Nina Morrison has a dream. In her dream, she seems to be a carefree girl. Her father's company is good and her mother doesn't die in a car accident. She is also the beautiful little princess. Andrew stands under the cherry tree and smiles at her. His smile is warmer than the spring breeze. Nina Morrison suddenly wakes up. She hears Lucian Gray whispering something around her. She thinks he is awake and turns to look at him. She just wants to ask him what he said just now, but she can see his eyes still closed. It turns out that he is talking in a dream. Lucian Gray's eyes are closed tightly and his thick eyelashes are shaking uneasily. He is talking about something and his face is filled with fear and despair. Nina Morrison is shocked. She has never seen Lucian Gray look so helpless and painful. He must be having nightmares. She is about to wake him up, but suddenly she hears him clearly. Mommy, don't. Mommy, I'm very good. I'll listen to you. Don't. With a low scream, Lucian Gray's eyes suddenly open. He awakes from his nightmare. Lucian Gray sees Nina Morrison looking at him in surprise and his thick eyebrows tighten sharply. His hand suddenly pinches Nina Morrison's chin. What did you hear just now? Nina Morrison is shocked by Lucian Gray's action. I heard you have nightmares, she says. Did you hear what I shouted? Lucian Gray's expression is even worse. His black eyes shine a sharp and cold light. Well, I didn't hear you clearly. I just woke up. Nina Morrison is not a fool. It seems that Lucian Gray is reluctant to let others hear his dream talk. She's not so silly as to tell the truth. Lucian Gray pinches her chin and looks at her expression with sharp eyes. Half a minute later he lets Nina Morrison go. It seems that he believes Nina Morrison's words. Lucian Gray gets out of bed and lights a cigarette. He sits on the sofa and smokes slowly. Lucian Gray seldom smokes and Nina Morrison knows he must be in a bad mood now when she sees his frown wrinkling. She remembers what Lucian Gray said in his dream. Mommy, don't. Lucian is very good. Lucian will listen to you. He shouted so pitifully, so sadly and so desperately. She never hears him mention his family. There's a lot of gossip in the newspaper about big families. But Gray family has no gossip. Gray family is mysterious. Was Lucian Gray abandoned by his mother? Why did he shout so? There are countless reasons in Nina Morrison's brain, but there is no need to find the answer. Because at the moment, Lucian Gray's expression hurts her. In the public view, he has been very ruthless and tyrannical. Nina Morrison has never seen him so helpless. The sharpness and indifference in his eyes now turn into deep loss and confusion. Lucian Gray smokes gracefully, but Nina Morrison can see that he is just smoking to hide his panic. What on earth caused such a great harm to Lucian Gray? What made him cry in his sleep? Nina Morrison suddenly feels a little sad. Her own mother died early. She can understand the pain of losing mother. Nina Morrison slowly walks up to Lucian Gray and holds Lucian Gray for the first time. Lucian Gray does not push her away but quietly takes Nina Morrison and holds her tightly as if she is the only thing he can hold. Nina Morrison has been in hospital for nearly 5 days. Although she lives alone in a very comfortable ward and is taken good care of by Paige, she still feels bored. She walks aimlessly in the garden in a thin wool shawl and a large hospital uniform. The autumn sun is bright but not blazing. It shines softly on Nina Morrison, making her feel warm. Nina Morrison walks slowly along the lawn path, squinting and enjoying the warm sunshine. Suddenly, something hits her leg and scares Nina Morrison to make a cry. She looks down and sees a lovely little puppy. It is snow white and has a small pink collar around its neck. The dog is not afraid. It looks up at Nina Morrison curiously, naughty and smart. Nina Morrison recalls that when she was in high school, she wanted to have such a white puppy. Unfortunately, her father's company went bankrupt before her wish came true. From then on, raising a dog has become a dream that can never be realized. Nina Morrison is attracted by the cute puppy. She crouches down and strokes the dog's round head. Baby, what's your name? Where is your master? Are you lost? The puppy seems to understand what she says, barking twice and wagging its tail happily. Nina Morrison sees that the puppy is cute and she wants to play with it. She picks up some pine cones from the grass and plays a ball-throwing game with the puppy. Snowball, Snowball. An anxious female voice ranges from far to near. Nina Morrison looks up and sees a slim figure coming in the distance. Nina Morrison pats the dog on the head and says softly, "Snowball, here comes your master. Go and find her." But Snowball does not listen to her. It is concentrating on playing with pine cones on the ground. Nina Morrison has no choice but to pick up Snowball and meet the woman. The woman sees the puppy in Nina Morrison's arms and runs over. They are getting closer and closer. Nina Morrison's heart shakes when she sees the woman's face. What a surprise. It's her. Nina Morrison only sees pictures of her being photographed by paparazzi in gossip newspapers. In the pictures, she holds Andrew Williams's arm tightly and the smile on her face can melt the hard ice. Abby Lewis is the daughter of Mayor Lewis and the fiancée of Andrew Williams. Nina Morrison's face turns pale. Before she can put down Snowball and turn away, Abby Lewis is in front of her. Thank you, miss. I thought Snowball was lost. It's my boyfriend's darling. If it's lost, he must be angry. Thank you so much. Abby Lewis thanks Nina Morrison. She takes Snowball from her arms and holds it tightly in her arms. She keeps kissing its head. Snowball, you are naughty. You run around when I don't pay attention. I'll teach you a lesson. Abby Lewis pinches Snowball's nose with her fingers. Nina Morrison looks at Abby Lewis. She is undoubtedly a very beautiful girl. She has fair skin and delicate features. Her temperament is so noble that she can be seen at a glance that she was born in a wealthy family. She really matches Andrew. Nina Morrison's eyes are wet. There are only flowers, applause and praise in her life. Only she can match Andrew. Compared with Abby Lewis, she is just a small dust. Snowball, Daddy is still alone in the ward. Shall we go back and take care of him? Abby Lewis' voice sounds softly behind her. Nina Morrison, who has turned around, suddenly stiffens. Is Daddy Andrew Williams? Is Andrew Williams here, too? Is he ill? Is that serious? A strong idea comes to Nina Morrison. She wants to visit Andrew. For the first time in her life, Nina Morrison follows others like a sordid thief. Abby Lewis walks ahead with Snowball in her arms. Nina Morrison pretends to wander around. She dodges about 30 meters behind her to see which ward Abby Lewis actually enters. She has no malice. She just wants to take a look at Andrew Williams. She wants to know whether he is well or not and whether he is seriously ill. She doesn't want to disturb his life. She just wants to peek at him. When Abby Lewis goes to the milky yellow building with the most elegant environment, Nina Morrison realizes that Andrew has lived in the same ward building with her. You live at the head of the Yangtze River and I live at the end of the Yangtze River. Every day I think of you but I don't see you. We drink the water of the Yangtze River. Nina Morrison suddenly remembers the national dance accompanied by the song she danced at the school art show. At that time, she was a budding 16-year-old girl and Andrew Williams was a handsome 18-year-old boy. She danced lightly on the stage and he watched her under the crowded stage. His eyes penetrated her heart through voices and music. Her face suddenly turned red with heavy stage makeup. No foundation could hide her blush. The 18-year-old's eyes were filled with amazement and praise. The grand party evolved into a gift she presented to him alone. Secret gifts make people happy because they are secret. Abby Lewis walks into the ward at the end of the corridor. That ward is the same pattern as Nina Morrison's. Next to it is a large terrace with huge potted green plants on it. Nina Morrison goes to the terrace and lets the vibrant green plants cover her body and looks into the ward. Andrew Williams looks pale. His face is a little transparent. He sits at his desk and seems to be reading something on his laptop. Abby Lewis hugs his waist from behind and rubs his face intimately. Her heart suddenly aches. Although she knows Andrew is engaged and she cannot relate to him, Nina Morrison cannot bear to see him intimate with other girls. He looks good. He's not seriously ill. Get out of here. This is not the place you should stay. Get out of here. Leave. Nina Morrison convinces herself to move her legs and get out of here. But her legs seem to have their own will. They are still standing in place and doesn't move a centimeter. Nina Morrison cries. She sees Abby Lewis in Andrew Williams's arms. She clasps her hands around his neck and says something gently and sweetly. She sees Andrew Williams smiling gently. He reaches out and pats Abby Lewis on the back. Her heart is as painful as it is cut by a sharp blade. Tears finally fall uncontrollably from her eyes and run down her pale cheeks. She holds her hands tightly. Her fingernails are deeply embedded in her palms, but the sting is nothing like the pain in her heart. Nina Morrison tries to wipe her tears but finds it useless. Her tears fall like beads with broken threads. Her tender skin is tingled with tears. She stops crying and turns away slowly from the terrace. She seems to grow old in a flash and her movements become slow and cumbersome. Nina Morrison, what are you crying for? You are clearly not even qualified for heartache. A nurse comes to the ward with a tray full of medicines and looks at Nina Morrison strangely. Is this lady here to visit President Williams? Why is she on the terrace? Nina Morrison points to Andrew Williams's ward and asks the nurse. What's wrong with Andrew Williams, who lives in Ward 201? The nurse is confused but answers truthfully. Stomach bleeding. He has been in hospital for some time. He will be discharged tomorrow. When the nurse finishes, she goes to the ward and sighs. These bosses don't care much about their bodies. You can't avoid drinking, but don't overdo it. Nina Morrison suddenly feels a little sad. She thinks it is a common cold, a fever or something. She doesn't think it is stomach bleeding. No wonder his face is so pale. Nina Morrison is still in a daze when her cell phone rings in her pocket. It's Lucian Gray. Where are you? Lucian Gray's voice is as hegemonic as ever. Today, he drove to a famous chicken soup shop and bought her a can of chicken soup. After 40 minutes of traffic jam, he came back. He was afraid that the chicken soup would be cold, so he held it in his arms and made his clothes greasy. When he came back, he found her missing. Paige says she has been out for a long time. Where does she go? Does she forget that she is pregnant? Quote. Nina Morrison frowns. Is it necessary for him to be so fierce? Speak. Lucian Gray's voice is colder. He hates Nina Morrison's indifference to him. I'm not a 3-year-old. I don't need to tell you where I went. Nina Morrison is also angry. Lucian Gray is too angry to speak. Paige shivers when he throws away his cell phone. Nina Morrison slowly walks into the elevator and walks to her ward. Since he has stomach disease, he'd better eat some soft food like porridge. Abby Lewis certainly can't cook. Nina Morrison decides to cook some red bean porridge secretly later and gets someone to deliver it to Andrew Williams. When Nina Morrison returns to the ward, Lucian Gray is sitting on the sofa with a somber face. Paige stands trembling. She is relieved to see Nina Morrison back. She hurries to meet her. Miss Morrison, where have you been? Master has been waiting for you for a long time. Paige looks at Lucian Gray and quickly brings the chicken soup. Look, Master bought you chicken soup. The chicken soup is stewed with a secret recipe. It's nutritious in particular. Let me give you a bowl of chicken soup. I have no appetite. Let him drink it. Nina Morrison has no appetite for chicken soup because she is so absorbed in boiling red bean porridge. Maybe because she's pregnant. She smells chicken soup and feels sick. Paige has just served a bowl of chicken soup in her hand. She listens to Nina Morrison and looks at Lucian Gray in embarrassment. Lucian Gray's face is gloomy and his dark eyes are staring at Nina Morrison. Drink it. It is said that chicken soup is better for pregnant women. Nina Morrison is too thin and should be supplemented. Nina Morrison's delicate eyebrows frown tightly. Why does he force her? She gets sick when she smells chicken soup. Why does he have to force her to drink it? You drink. I won't drink it. Paige feels the atmosphere is not right and quickly stuffs the bowl into Nina Morrison's hand. Miss Morrison, drink quickly. Master bought it especially for you. After that, she leaves. She is not silly. She feels that they are about to quarrel. Master has a bad temper. If she does not leave, she will also be punished by him. Nina Morrison did something wrong. Master was brought up by her. He hasn't been interested in girls for decades. He bought chicken soup all the way back and the back of his hand was scalded red with spilled chicken soup. The girl is so ungrateful that she said she would not drink it. She doesn't know who is the father of her baby. Paige feels wrong for her master. Pregnant women are prone to mood fluctuations. Nina Morrison has just seen Andrew Williams and Abby Lewis being intimate and now she is forced by Lucian Gray, so she becomes very stubborn. She puts the bowl heavily on the table. She ignores Lucian Gray and turns to the kitchen to find red beans to cook porridge. Lucian Gray sits gloomily on the sofa. He gets up from the sofa and stops Nina Morrison. His slender and powerful fingers hold her jaw tightly. Drink the soup. Nina Morrison struggles to get rid of his grip. Let go. You violent maniac. Her bright eyes are cold but her little white face flushes with anger. Lucian Gray stares at the stubborn woman. She's like a little hedgehog. Although his anger surges in his heart, the strength of his hand is subconsciously diminished. Nina Morrison wants to say something more. Before she can speak, Lucian Gray's hand has raised her jaw and kisses her lips directly. Nina Morrison concentrates all her strength on lifting her right hand and slapping it on Lucian Gray's face. The crisp applause shocks both of them. Nina Morrison doesn't realize she is so strong. She looks at her reddened palm somewhat bewildered. Lucian Gray stares at her incredibly. There are anger and injury in his eyes. His eyes suddenly turn scarlet. Lucian Gray pinches Nina Morrison's slender neck. His voice is furious like a demon from hell. Nina Morrison, who gave you courage? How dare you treat your master like that? Nina Morrison is pinched almost out of breath. Her legs instinctively kick Lucian Gray. His blood-red eyes are darker. Nina Morrison is slapped on the sofa by Lucian Gray. Her left face swells up and hurts. Nina Morrison is silent. She does not beg for mercy or resist. She falls on the sofa like a wooden man or a rag doll. Her little white face is indifferent. Lucian Gray is even angrier when he sees Nina Morrison's stubborn appearance. He takes a step forward and pulls Nina Morrison's hair. He stares into her eyes and says coldly, "Nina Morrison, you know your identity. Pregnant woman. As long as I say a word, the baby in your stomach will soon become a pool of blood." Nina Morrison bows her head and laughs at herself. Yes, a mistress dares to beat her master. Nina Morrison, do you want to die? Lucian Gray walks out of the ward with an angry face. The door is slammed with a loud bang. Lucian Gray has just said something like a sharp knife. It cuts a huge hole in Nina Morrison's heart. Nina Morrison remains in the position of falling on the sofa. The corners of her lips are a bleak smile. Who does she think she is? She's just a mistress. She doesn't even know who the baby's father is. What qualifications does she have for losing her temper with Lucian Gray? She ought to drink that bowl of chicken soup that makes her sick. She should take off her clothes and let Lucian Gray vent. That's what a mistress should do. Nina Morrison is a real dereliction of duty. Red beans are placed on the kitchen counter. The opening of the plastic bag is not buttoned properly. The round red beans roll down to the ground. Nina Morrison slowly squats down and picks up the beans that roll to her feet. Her heart is very painful. The pain did not occur when she saw Andrew Williams and Abby Lewis being intimate. But Nina Morrison doesn't realize it. Red beans. By the way, she's going to cook Andrew's porridge. Nina Morrison wipes her tears with the back of her hand and picks up the beans and washes them. She puts red beans and glutinous rice into a pressure cooker. Nina Morrison does this silently, trying to focus on beans and rice. I'm not sad. I'm calm. I'm not sad. I'm calm. Nina Morrison repeats these two words in her mind. These two words seem to be magical spells to calm her heart slowly. Nina Morrison touches her slightly raised abdomen with her hand and talks to her baby. Baby, when Grandpa has recovered from the operation, Mother will take you out of here. We leave here to live happily in other cities. All right. In half an hour, a pot of soft and waxy red bean porridge is boiled. Paige is really a careful person. The kitchen is small but everything is complete. There is even an insulating bucket in the closet. Nina Morrison puts porridge in the thermos cup and tightens the lid. Everything is ready. Nina Morrison begins to worry. Who is going to deliver porridge? She doesn't want to deliver it by herself. Andrew has a fiancé. She doesn't want to disturb his happiness. She cooks the porridge just in the hope that he will get better soon. She knows that she and Andrew cannot go back. Andrew already has Abby Lewis. She is imprisoned by Lucian Gray and becomes a disgraceful mistress. She is not qualified and has no right to ask for anything more. Nina Morrison thinks about it and decides to ask the nurse to deliver her porridge. Nina Morrison hovers in the corridor outside Andrew Williams's ward. The corridor is quiet and there are no nurses passing by. This is the case in the VIP ward. Unless the patient rings the bell, the whole hospital area is quiet. She can't wait like that. Nina Morrison goes back to her ward and presses the call bell. This is the worst way. She fears that the nurse will tell Andrew Williams that the porridge is from her. She doesn't want Andrew Williams to know that she lives in the same ward. The nurse comes in a hurry. How do you feel, Miss Morrison? Is there anything you need? Oh, I'm fine. Can you help me to send this insulating bucket to Ward 201? A gentleman who lives there is a friend of mine. All right. The nurse takes the thermos bucket and goes outside the door. If he asks, don't say it's from me, Nina Morrison warns uneasily. The nurse turns her head in surprise. If he asks, what should I say? You can say it's from an old friend. She's gone. Nina Morrison has a faint smile on her lips. An old friend. That's what he said last time reporters asked him why he contributed to the gallery. Nina Morrison likes the word. Because it contains a strong sense of longing and memories of the past years. The nurse nods and walks briskly to Ward 201. In Ward 201, Abby Lewis is peeling fruit for Andrew Williams. The set meal in the hospital is delicious but Andrew always feels greasy. Abby Lewis shakes her head somewhat helplessly. She does nothing at home. But after she met Andrew Williams, she accommodates him. Abby Lewis cuts the apple into small pieces with a knife. She feeds Andrew Williams with a small silver fork. Andrew Williams raises his eyes from the book in his hand and smiles gently at Abby Lewis. His face is pale but amazingly handsome. Abby Lewis suddenly feels that everything is worth it. She can accommodate such a handsome, elegant, young and promising man. The door is knocked. Abby Lewis puts down her plate and fork to open the door. The nurse hands the thermos cup to Abby Lewis. This is what a lady asked me to send to Mr. Williams. Abby Lewis opens the thermos cup curiously and looks at it. Her beautiful eyes suddenly open wide. It's red bean porridge. It looks delicious. What's the lady's name? The nurse smiles and shakes her head. She said she is an old friend of Mr. Williams. She's gone. The nurse smiles politely at Abby Lewis and turns away. Andrew Williams has a violent shock when he hears the nurse's words. Suddenly he has a strong feeling. When he takes the porridge from Abby Lewis' hand, his hand trembles. It's red bean porridge. He and Nina Morrison are both from City A. In their hometown, people are superstitious that red bean porridge nourishes the intestines and stomach. People with stomach diseases need only a bowl of red bean porridge to recover. Red bean porridge is fragrant and soft. Abby Lewis puts it in a white porcelain bowl. Andrew Williams's eyes are suddenly wet. His trembling hand picks up the spoon and tastes it slowly. Yes, it is the taste of his hometown. People used to put glutinous rice and japonica rice when cooking porridge. This must be Nina's own porridge. Nina must be near here. Andrew Williams slams down his bowl and chases out. He doesn't explain anything to Abby Lewis. He runs frantically down the corridor. Nurse! Nurse! He shouts. Nina must not be far away. Maybe the nurse knows where she lives. Abby Lewis is stunned for 2 seconds and then responds. Andrew, where are you going? Abby Lewis has a bad feeling when she sees Andrew Williams in the empty corridor. Andrew, who sent the porridge? Who is that old friend? The woman's intuition tells her that the relationship between the young lady and Andrew Williams must be unusual. Andrew Williams cannot hear what Abby Lewis is asking. His thoughts are completely occupied by Nina Morrison. He searches for Nina Morrison for 3 years. Today she suddenly appears at an unexpected moment. 3 years ago, he returned from a trip abroad and went to Nina Morrison's home with gifts. But she left. There was a resale sign on the door. The neighbor only said that her father was bankrupt and the whole family had moved away. He had no idea where she was. Andrew Williams searched all the corners of but Nina Morrison never appeared again. She was like a drop of water disappearing in the sea. Abby Lewis walks up to Andrew Williams and pouts her red mouth in dissatisfaction. Andrew, what's wrong with you? Why do you ignore me? Andrew Williams has no time to answer Abby Lewis. He is surprised and doubtful. How is she doing now? How does she know he is hospitalized for stomach trouble? Why does she cook porridge and send it to him but refuse to meet him? He has only one idea. He must find Nina Morrison. She's in City C. He must find her. Abby, wait for me for a moment. I have something important to do. After that, Andrew Williams runs to the dean's office. This hospital is the top private hospital in City C. All visitors to the patient must be registered. If Nina Morrison is not a patient, she will appear on the registry. If Nina Morrison is a patient, she will be on the hospitalization list. Nina, you can't escape this time. Andrew Williams waits for her for 3 years. But there was a crisis in his family business. His grandfather knelt down and begged him, so he had to marry Abby Lewis to protect his family. But every day he misses Nina Morrison. Andrew Williams is surprised to see Nina Morrison's name on the hospitalization list. He knocks on the door of Nina Morrison's ward with trembling hands and waits anxiously for Nina Morrison. Nina Morrison thinks it is Paige when she hears a knock at the door. She comes over with a cup of hot tea in her hand and opens the door. The door is opened. She sees Andrew Williams's elegant and handsome face. His eyes are pleasantly surprised. He looks at Nina Morrison with a smile. The cup in her hand falls to the ground and the chips splash around, making a harsh noise. But Nina Morrison and Andrew Williams seem to have heard nothing at all. They look at each other's faces and don't know what to say. Nina, how are you doing? After a while, Andrew Williams asks. His voice trembles slightly, but it is warm and magnetic. Nina Morrison's eyes are wet and her tears fall. She looks at Andrew Williams foolishly. His face is very handsome. He has a faint fragrance of mint. The fragrance matches his mild temperament. She wants to speak but she chokes. She cannot say anything at all. Nina, Nina, I finally find you. His gentle voice is somewhat husky and murmuring. He calls her name again and again. He holds her tightly in his arms. He seems afraid that she will disappear at any moment. She clings to his warm chest. She can feel his heartbeat clearly. Nina Morrison is hugged by him. Her head rests on his chest and she is crying all the time. Nina, where have you been these years? I'm looking for you everywhere. Andrew Williams gently blames her. But there is surprise in his voice. Sorry. Nina Morrison cannot say a complete sentence. Never say sorry to me. Andrew Williams gently touches her long hair with his warm palm and mutters, Nina, how are you doing? How are you doing? Nina, how are you doing? Nina Morrison's tears are more turbulent. She cries silently. How's she doing? She does not know who the father of her child is. She is a disgraceful mistress. She is imprisoned and kept in captivity. If the master is in a good mood, he will treat her well. If the master is in a bad mood, he will get angry and insult her. How's she doing? Her life is terrible. Nina, you have my phone number. Why don't you come to me? Andrew Williams asks eagerly. His voice trembles a little and his hands hug her tightly. He wants to insert her into his body and never separate her again. Nina Morrison's slender hands almost want to lift in response to his hug. However, after a moment of hesitation, she slightly retracts her arms. She doesn't deserve it. Yes, she doesn't deserve it. She is dirty. Andrew Williams has a great future. He is handsome and elegant. And what about her? She is a dirty and shameful mistress. She's an unmarried mother. She doesn't even deserve to be embraced by Andrew Williams. She's been crying. She bites her lip and restrains her sobbing voice. I'm fine, she says. I'm fine. I've calmly accepted my destiny. Andrew Williams, stop thinking about me. Nina Morrison's words give Andrew Williams a violent shock. There is alienation in her voice that he is not familiar with. She is alienated from him. The girl who always smiled sweetly at him and called him Andrew, in a crisp voice, never spoke to him so politely. Andrew Williams's hands slowly loosen. Nina Morrison subconsciously wants to wipe the tears off her face. She doesn't want Andrew Williams to see her crying. She must be ugly. Andrew Williams is a little sad about her. He carefully lifts her face and whispers, Nina, why are you crying? Andrew Williams seems to be holding the most precious treasure. He wipes her tears and coaxes her softly, don't cry. We haven't seen each other for years. Why do you cry when you see me? Am I so terrible? Nina Morrison begins to cry again. Because she has been thinking about him for 3 years. Because he has become a thorn in her heart. She will be heartbroken at the thought of him. Nina Morrison smiles at him and raises her hand to wipe away her tears. Andrew Williams smiles. Nina Morrison's smile makes him see the girl's shadow again. He reaches for Nina Morrison's hand and wants to say something. Nina. Nina Morrison looks down and sees his engagement ring on his ring finger. Simple platinum ring represents vows and love. Andrew Williams is engaged to Abby Lewis. Nina Morrison yanks back her hand. Andrew Williams looks down at his hand, stiff in midair. Only 3 years have passed. Why does she treat him like that? Why does she avoid his hand? Sorry, did I offend you? Andrew Williams stands at the door and apologizes to Nina Morrison. His gentle eyes contain sadness. Nina Morrison's heart suddenly aches severely. How could he offend her? No matter what he does, he will not offend her. But what can she say? Andrew Williams, you are engaged. I am a mistress of others. It's impossible between us. No, she can't let Andrew Williams know that. She hopes that in his heart she will always be the clean, sunny Nina Morrison of that year. Silence. They look at each other at the door of the ward. They are too embarrassed to speak. But she is reluctant to let him go. Nina Morrison makes a polite gesture of invitation. Come in and have a seat. Andrew Williams nods softly. Nina, what's wrong with you? Is it serious? Andrew Williams asks anxiously. I just have a cold and a fever. Nina Morrison responds with some restraint. She and Andrew Williams are in a closed space. She doesn't feel well. That's good. They fall into an awkward silence again. Andrew Williams looks at Nina Morrison tenderly. Her long dark hair spreads softly. She wears a loose white dress which makes her fresh and natural like a fairy in the woods. His Nina is still so beautiful. Nina Morrison is also looking at Andrew Williams. He does not have the childishness of a teenager. He becomes mature. His temperament is more mild than ever and the familiar mint scent on his body addicts her. After a moment of silence, Nina Morrison finally summons up her courage and says, "Andrew, I heard you're getting married." Nina Morrison is just trying to find a topic to break the silence. Unexpectedly, she asks the question. At the words of Nina Morrison, the smile on Andrew Williams's face slowly fades away. It's like a beach after ebb, revealing a desolate riverbed. He stares quietly at Nina Morrison's face and for the first time he finds it hard to speak. After a long time, Andrew Williams answers with difficulty, "Yes. I'm engaged." Nina Morrison's heart aches but she pretends to smile. She exaggerates herself as she has just remembered. "I saw on TV the other day that you are engaged to Abby Lewis, the mayor's daughter. You are well matched. Congratulations. Congratulations." Is Nina Morrison congratulating him? Why is he not happy at all? Andrew Williams has no expression on his face. He just stares at her face and says nothing. His silence makes Nina Morrison even less aware of what to say. She struggles to maintain a smile on her face. She has fantasized about countless scenes of meeting Andrew Williams. Each of them is happy and exciting. But she does not expect to be so embarrassed. "When are you going to get married?" Nina Morrison tries to be as calm as a friend he hasn't seen for years. "Nina, you know what? I've been looking for you for 3 years." Andrew Williams looks closely into her eyes and there is a faint stubbornness and persistence in her gentle eyes. "I asked all my former classmates and your neighbors. I've also posted a notice in a missing persons column on TV stations and newspapers in City A. He looked for her for 3 years and waited for her for 3 years. Until he felt hopeless and his grandpa knelt in front of him and said, 'Andrew, save our family.' He doesn't expect to meet Nina Morrison a month after his engagement." Nina Morrison looks away. She pretends to be indifferent. "I thought you had forgotten me." Andrew Williams gives a wry smile. "Nina, how can I forget you? You know I'll never forget you." After a pause, he looks at her and asks nervously, "Nina, have you thought of me in these 3 years? Do you remember me? Nina, do you remember me?" "Yes. Yes. Andrew, I miss you very much." Nina Morrison grips her lip tightly for fear of blurting out the sentence. What can she say? What qualifications does she have to say? "Of course. Sometimes I think of you too." Nina Morrison says indifferently. It seems that this matter is not worth her serious answer. Andrew Williams stares steadily into Nina Morrison's eyes. For a moment she almost thinks he has seen through her disguise. Nina Morrison hides her confusion and raises her wrist to look at her watch. "Andrew, I'm a little tired. I want to rest." Andrew Williams's eyes are filled with disappointment. It is like a sharp spear and instantly pierces Nina Morrison's disguise. She turns and opens her eyes vigorously. "Open your eyes and tears won't come out so easily. Open your eyes and you can see the world better. A mistress can't have such a perfect man as Andrew Williams." "Nina." He holds Nina Morrison gently from behind. The hug is so light that she can hardly feel it. Nina Morrison bursts into tears after enduring a long time. Nina Morrison stretches out her trembling hands and moves Andrew Williams's fingers around her waist. It seems that it is not a finger but a painful heart. Nina Morrison tries to make her voice cold and stiff. "Andrew, go back quickly. Miss Lewis must be waiting for you." She tries her best to stop sobbing. "Nina, I'm sorry. I thought I would never find you again so I got engaged to her. I'm sorry." Andrew Williams's voice is filled with guilt. He shouldn't lose hope so soon. He shouldn't compromise with his grandpa. He has been looking for her for 3 years and he is reluctant to let her go. If he lets her go, he may have to wait another 3 years. Andrew, don't do that. Nina Morrison can no longer control her trembling voice. Andrew Williams, why don't you let go? Stop holding me. I'm not that strong in willpower. In a minute my disguise will all collapse. Nina Morrison grips her lips tightly and blood oozes out of the corners of her lips. Only this painful pain can let her control her impulse to turn around and embrace him. She can't tell him that she has been missing him for 3 years. Andrew Williams holds Nina Morrison tightly as if she were the only thing he would not let go of in the world. Nina Morrison bows her head to keep her tears from falling on his hands. But the light of the ring on his ring finger shakes his eyes. The engagement ring represents vows and love. It is like a bright light which hurts Nina Morrison's eyes. She is reluctant to part with him, but she must control herself. Andrew Williams does not belong to her. Andrew, I already have a boyfriend. Nina Morrison's voice seems very indifferent and calm. Only her trembling shoulders reveal her secret. Andrew Williams is shocked and releases his hands. His voice suddenly becomes hoarse as if the fire of life had suddenly died out. Sorry. Nina Morrison gives a faint smile. Never mind. It really doesn't matter, Andrew. You don't have to apologize. These 3 years have changed everything. Nina Morrison is no longer the simple and lovely girl who was as white as a sheet of paper. She has too many secrets and embarrassment. He has not been waiting for her, nor has she kept her integrity. They don't owe each other. Forget her, Andrew Williams. That's fine. Nina Morrison tries to squeeze a smile at Andrew Williams. She feels depressed. The pain is something she has never experienced before. She seems to be weighed down by a huge stone. Nina Morrison's cell phone is thrown on the sofa. Andrew Williams walks over and dials a number on her cell phone. Nina, this is my most private cell phone number. No more than 4 people know this number. You must remember to call me. Andrew Williams presses the number carefully. Nina Morrison's eyes are blurred again. She looks greedily at him. She wants to remember every movement and every minute expression of him at the moment. This may be their last meeting. They have different paths. All feasts must come to an end. At the last second when the door is closing, Andrew Williams whispers, "Is he kind to you?" Nina Morrison finds herself unable to answer his question. Is Lucian Gray kind to her? He is so overbearing that he turns her into a disgraceful mistress. He is violent and cold and she is often scarred by him. Is he not kind to her? She had a fever and he accompanied her all night. She is pregnant with others' child and he does not force her to abort. Is Lucian Gray kind to her? But now she shouldn't think about it. Now she has to chase Andrew Williams away. He's been here too long and if Lucian Gray comes back and sees him, it's another big problem. She doesn't want Lucian Gray to see Andrew Williams. At the same time, she does not want Andrew to know that she is his mistress. She is not as pure as she was 3 years ago. Nina Morrison looks at him with a sweet smile. Her voice is light and happy. He's very kind to me. Andrew Williams has a genuine smile on his pale face. He reaches out and touches Nina Morrison's hair. Nina, you look happy. I'm relieved. 3 years ago, the little girl smiled sweetly at him. Andrew, you are so kind to me. Nowadays, she is treated well by others. But that's okay. Nina is happy. Nina's happiness is his greatest happiness. Andrew Williams smiles again. It's time to leave. He reaches out and holds Nina Morrison's cold little hands. His gentle eyes hide all his reluctance to say goodbye to Nina Morrison. Nina, goodbye. Nina Morrison stares quietly at Andrew Williams. she says in a calm voice. Bye, Andrew. The door closes slowly. When Andrew Williams finally disappears, Nina Morrison bursts into tears. She collapses down as if all her strength was overdrawn. She is too weak to stand still. Her meeting with Andrew is painful. She spends all her strength to hold back her tears and hug him tightly. She clasps her arms in both hands and cries silently. The mobile phone suddenly rings. Nina Morrison wipes her tears and answers the phone. Hello. Is this Miss Nina Morrison? On the other end of the phone, a nice male voice asks. Oh, I am. Who are you, please? Miss Morrison, I'm Jarvis, Lucian's friend. Can you come to night bar? Lucian is drunk. If you don't come here, my bar will be ruined by him. Do I have to go there? Shall I ask the driver to pick him up? Nina Morrison is very depressed. At the moment, she just wants to take a hot bath and go to bed and have a good sleep. He's been calling your name. I looked through his cell phone to find your phone number. Miss Morrison, please help me. Jarvis is also curious about the cool female voice. What kind of girl is she? She even makes President Gray come to his bar to get drunk. Lucian Gray is a good drinker and has always been a moderate drinker. Jarvis sees him drunk for the first time after they have known each other for so many years. This girl is very important to Lucian Gray. Jarvis is curious about Nina Morrison. Nina Morrison washes her face and combs her hair. She looks at her swollen eyes in the mirror, dawdling and not wanting to go out. Now she's really not in the mood to pick up Lucian Gray. Maybe meeting Andrew Williams makes her feel a little guilty. It seems that she has done something bad to Lucian Gray. When Nina Morrison appears in front of Jarvis, he finally knows why Lucian Gray still calls Nina Morrison when he is drunk. The girl in front of him is not a perfect beauty. She's petite and her big clothes don't show her figure. But she has a pair of unforgettable eyes on her fair and beautiful face. Her eyes are like young lions. Although it is naive and does not know its strength, it has the stubbornness of never giving in. Only such a woman can compete with Lucian Gray. He thinks Lucian Gray only likes big-breasted women. Now it seems that his taste is not so vulgar. Jarvis smiles and opens the door for Nina Morrison. On the broad velvet sofa, Lucian Gray's shirt collar is open at random. His thick eyebrows are wrinkled tightly and his eyes seem to be closed. He is holding a bottle that is half empty. Nina Morrison walks over and pokes her finger in his face. Hey, drunkard, go home. Lucian Gray used to poke her face. Now Nina Morrison is a little happy. You used to bully me. Today I will give it back to you. Lucian Gray opens his dim eyes and sees the figure in front of him. He doesn't seem to believe it and squints to see clearly. Jarvis comes up and pulls Lucian Gray up. Nina Morrison is here. Come back. Don't mess up. Lucian Gray sees Nina Morrison. He hugs her in his arms. Hey, what are you doing? Let go. Nina Morrison blushes. Jarvis is still here. She is embarrassed. Lucian Gray holds Nina Morrison's waist tightly. He puts his head on her chest and says vaguely, no. He looks like a child. Jarvis opens his eyes wide. He doesn't expect cold Lucian Gray to act like a spoiled child. Although the bar is messed up by Lucian Gray, it is worth it. Jarvis is curious and feels it funny. Nina Morrison glances at Jarvis next to her and coaxes Lucian Gray. Let go. Shall I take you home? Lucian Gray suddenly raises his head and grins at Nina Morrison. What shall we do when we get home? Have sex. There is a trace of naughty in his eyes. If there's a hole in front of her, she's sure to get in. Jarvis curbs the laughter. He coughs twice and pretends to be serious. Miss Morrison, take your time. I still have something to do. After that, he turns quickly and leaves. Nina Morrison hears Jarvis finally burst into laughter as the door closes. Nina Morrison blushes instantly. She twists Lucian Gray's ear angrily. She feels like a cruel stepmother who is bullying a silly stepchild. Aren't you shy? You are shameless. Lucian Gray is not shy at all. He shamelessly takes Nina Morrison's hand and takes her to his arms. He is extremely strong when he is drunk. Nina Morrison stands unsteadily and is held tightly by him. Nina Morrison smells alcohol and masculinity. She remembers Andrew's delicate mint scent. She frowns and tries to push Lucian Gray away. Lucian Gray refuses to let go. He holds her tighter and wants to kiss her on the mouth. Nina Morrison tilts her head to avoid the kiss. The back of her head is held tightly by a powerful big palm. He kisses her hard on the lips. After that, Lucian Gray turns over and puts the unstable Nina Morrison in his arms. He closes his eyes and utters a sigh of satisfaction. Although Nina Morrison is tired, she is not sleepy at all. She stares blankly at the gorgeous decorations on the sofa. She doesn't love Lucian Gray, but she does things with him that can only be done between lovers. Does Lucian Gray love her? When she thinks of the question, she smiles silently. She is too naive to think it. Lucian Gray certainly doesn't love her. He doesn't love any woman. How could he understand what love is? What are you thinking about? He suddenly asks her. Nina Morrison thinks Lucian Gray is asleep. She turns to see his eyes shining in the light. Nina Morrison almost thinks that the light in his eyes is love. Nina Morrison rolls over and whispers, "I'm thinking about my dad." Nina Morrison does not lie entirely. She is wondering when her father will finish the operation and when she will leave Lucian Gray. Lucian Gray holds her tighter. He lays his chin gently on top of her head. He touches her long hair. "Next week I'll see a doctor to arrange an operation for your father." Nina Morrison is overjoyed. "Really? Thank you." Lucian Gray laughs. "How do you thank me?" He looks at her viciously. Nina Morrison pulls her clothes tighter and looks warily at Lucian Gray. Lucian Gray is amused by her hedgehog-like vigilance. He reaches out and pats her on the face. "Stop daydreaming. I'm powerless now. I'll feed you tomorrow." Nina Morrison blushes with his words. She turns away and ignores him. Lucian Gray breathes in her ear. His voice is very gentle. "Are you shy? I'm not kidding you anymore. Dress up and accompany me to dinner tomorrow." Nina Morrison glares at him angrily. "I'm pregnant and it's not convenient for me to go to dinner. My stomach is bulging now, so I don't look good on anything." Lucian Gray reaches out and caresses her slightly raised lower abdomen. He says domineeringly, "I say you look good and you look good. Listen, I'll take you to buy dresses tomorrow morning." The next day Nina Morrison is jammed into the car by Lucian Gray. She grumbles reluctantly, "I really don't want to go to dinner. Can I not go?" Lucian Gray looks at her. "Nina Morrison, are you inferior? Do you think you can't attend formal occasions? You are too timid." He knows what stimulates Nina Morrison best. Sure enough, Nina Morrison pouts, "I'm going to dinner with you." Lucian Gray laughs happier. Nina Morrison looks at him warily. "What are you laughing at?" Lucian Gray raises his eyebrows and does not speak. The car stops at a quiet corner. "What the hell are you doing?" Nina Morrison is uneasy. Lucian Gray puts his index finger on Nina Morrison's lips. "Shish." He leans over and kisses Nina Morrison on the lips. Nina Morrison's eyes are wide with surprise. At a very close distance, she sees the golden morning sun slanting on Lucian Gray's face. His three-dimensional features look very handsome in the light. He is like a prince in classical sculpture. Focus. He holds Nina Morrison's back head in his hand and kisses her more warmly. Nina Morrison is bewitched by the magic of his flexible tongue. After a long time, Lucian Gray looks up at Nina Morrison. Nina Morrison doesn't dare look at him at all. She has to look down the road. Look. There's a car coming across the street. Nina Morrison points across the road. Lucian Gray looks out and there is nothing outside. He turns around and finds Nina Morrison has opened the door and jumped out of the car. Lucian Gray squints. Nina Morrison, get in the car. Nina Morrison does not listen to him. She stands in the sun and says disdainfully, Lucian Gray, do you think I am foolish enough to get in the car and let you bully me? The sun shines on her through the shadows of the trees. Her hair is black and her face is white. She's a little childish. Her crystal clear eyes and blue sky and white clouds are as beautiful as a picture. Lucian Gray suddenly feels that his heart misses a beat and he feels a little hypoxic. He looks out at Nina Morrison. At the moment, he just wants to love the woman in front of him. He wants to spoil her. Even if she wants the stars in the sky, he will take them off for her. Years later, when Lucian Gray recalls the scene, he realizes that it is the feeling of liking. Get in the car. I promise I won't bully you. Lucian Gray opens the door and looks out at Nina Morrison. His eyes are full of laughter and spoiling. His eyes surprise Nina Morrison. Why does Lucian Gray look at her like she's a delicious candy or a lovely pet? Nina Morrison can't figure it out. She puts her tiny white finger in front of Lucian Gray and says, Pinky swear. Lucian Gray smiles. He stretches out his slender finger and grabs Nina Morrison's. Okay, Pinky swear. With repeated assurances from Lucian Gray, Nina Morrison returns to the car on guard. Lucian Gray glances sideways at Nina Morrison and starts the car. Can you take your hands off your chest? Nina Morrison's hands tightly cover her chest's clothes. Nina Morrison looks at him. I'm afraid you'll bully me. Lucian Gray sneers. Nina Morrison, don't you know how many women want to climb into my bed? Nina Morrison shows no weakness. Then go and find them. Why do you have to rely on me? Lucian Gray laughs wickedly. I spent a lot of money on you. I'll play enough before I let you go. His unintentional joke silences Nina Morrison. That's true. She is just a slave he paid for. When her father's operation is over, she can go. They don't owe each other. Nina Morrison can't wait to breathe free air. She will continue to learn painting. She will travel around the world. A future without Lucian Gray is the best future. Nina Morrison encourages herself, ignoring some sourness in her heart. The car has entered the main road. With more and more cars on the road, Lucian stops joking with Nina and focuses on driving. Suddenly a soft ring breaks the silence in the car. Lucian's car phone rings. Speak. His opening words are always so domineering and concise. The other side says something. Lucian shows satisfaction. Okay. You get things ready. I'll be there in a minute. Lucian hangs up. He pulls over and unbuckles Nina's seatbelt. Go to the dress shop yourself. I have something to deal with. He tells her succinctly and does not allow Nina to object. Nina is used to his bullying. She doesn't ask him what happened but gets off quietly. She looks up at Lucian. How can I get to the dress store? Lucian's eyes are full of happiness and he seems to be in a particularly good mood. He pinches Nina's face. It's not far. It's on the street ahead. Follow this road to the junction ahead and turn right. Then you can see it. Saint Laurent Advanced Customization. When I'm done, I'll pick you up. With that he closes the door. The luxury motorhome runs away like an arrow. Nina follows Lucian's route to find the haute couture shop. The storefront is decorated in an extraordinary manner. It has milky white walls and light gold streamline decoration. In front of the store is a magnificent Roman-style pillar. Its overall style is fashionable with a little classical elegance and low-key noble spirit. She walks into the shop, and immediately a shop assistant with a fine makeup comes up. Welcome. Another shop assistant brings a glass of lemonade to Nina. Would you like to buy ready-made clothes or see our sample album? Nina smiles politely at the shop assistant. Let me see first. Nina is wearing a loose white dress which is almost shabby in style. She bought the dress at the night market with little change left. Lucian bought her beautiful clothes that can fill her wardrobe, but she didn't wear them. She always feels that they don't belong to her. Her hair has not been permed and dyed. It spreads freely. She looks very ordinary. Two shop assistants look up and down at Nina. They look at each other and show contempt. This little woman is wearing cheap clothes and dare to enter our shop. Nina doesn't notice the expressions of the shop assistants at all. She just strolls around the shop with interest. In fact, she doesn't want to buy any dresses or go to any dinner party with Lucian. But it's a pleasure to see so many beautiful clothes. She's killing time. Nina points to a dark green dress. Please take it down and I'll try it. This dress is on the model. It's not easy to take off the long skirt with complicated lace embroidery. The shop assistant gives Nina a contemptuous look. What a bother this woman is. She picks the dress on the model. What a bother. But after all, it's the top handmade clothing store. There are rules in the store. As long as the guests arrive, they should provide warm service. So they don't dare to leave Nina alone. They just try to suppress their contempt. Looking at Nina's shabby clothes, the shop assistant is also surprised. The poor girl has a good taste. This dress is the latest work of the designer. It won a grand prize at the Milan International Fashion Show and it just flew back last month. Its fabric, style and cutting are all first class. Many people have tried this dress, but because it is dark green, few people's skin and temperament can match it. So it hasn't been sold yet. The shop assistant lazily hands the dress to Nina and impatiently points to the fitting room. The fitting room is inside. Try it yourself. In fact, according to the store rules, shop assistants should help customers try on their clothes. The fitting room is very spacious. It is decorated with deep purple velvet, showing a luxurious atmosphere. Each fitting room has a soft sofa, a large shiny mirror and a delicate dresser. The cosmetics are complete, but the door is a heavy velvet curtain so she can't lock it. But no one will break into such a high-end shop. Nina takes off her loose skirt and puts on the dress carefully. There are many thin handmade embroidery lace at the bottom of the dress. They are as thin as a layer of smoke and look fragile. Nina is worried about breaking it. When Nina gets up in this dress, she feels her back pulled. She feels a little cold with her skin exposed. Maybe the zipper catches the lace. Nina sits down and shouts out of the curtain, "Miss, please come in. It's too much trouble to wear a dress." She's tired. Nina whispers and waits for the shop assistant to come in and help her. But no one answers outside. Two shop assistants are happily playing games on their mobile phones. They pretend not to hear Nina. Poor girl, who cares about you? Nina raises her voice and shouts again. She is still ignored. A crisp female voice comes from the fitting room next to her. Stop shouting, I'll help you. The heavy velvet curtain is lifted and a young girl comes in. She is dressed in fashion and makes up heavily. The girl is surprised to see Nina's dress. This dress is so beautiful. I wanted to try it just now, but my skin is not white enough. I'm afraid I don't match the color. You look beautiful. The girl helps Nina untie the lace. She smiles at Nina and her eyes flash. Nina thinks her smile and eyes are a little weird. But then she shakes her head. It must be an illusion. I didn't have a good rest last night, so I have hallucinations today. Thinking of last night, Nina blushes again. Lucian is a pain in the ass. Regardless of her pregnancy, he pestered her to have sex with him. She has backache today. There is a whole wall of mirrors outside. Nina goes to the mirror with her dress. The light is bright and soft. She sees herself in the mirror. The collar of the dress is very low and her skin is exposed. The dark green color and the gorgeous handmade embroidery lace on the skirt make her skin white and delicate like the most exquisite porcelain. The high waistline of the dress covers her slightly raised belly. She is fresh and elegant and looks like the most noble princess. The shop assistant freezes. She didn't expect the poor girl to match the dress. This dress is just like it's made for her. Everything is perfect. Nina is stunned. Since her father's company went bankrupt 3 years ago, she hasn't worn fancy clothes. She usually wears simple t-shirts and jeans and she doesn't make up. She has forgotten how it feels to stand in front of the mirror in beautiful clothes. The silk fabric is soft on her body. She feels a little cold and slippery. It is as delicate and gentle as her mother's hand. Nina suddenly feels a little sad. Her good mood disappears. When she was little, her mother often wore such a beautiful dress. She held her in pink princess skirt and went to a senior banquet with her father. The father was handsome. The mother was beautiful and quiet. The child was beautiful and lovely. They were enviable family. But now, Nina can't help but smile to the shop assistant. I don't think this dress suits me very well. Please give me that short white dress over there. The shop assistant turns to get the dress, but she whispers. This dress is so nice but you say it doesn't suit you. Don't come in if you don't have money. What a bore. Nina doesn't care. She has seen too much contempt and indifference. Her heart has become very strong. Nina goes to the fitting room and takes off the long dark green dress and puts on the short white dress. She goes out to look at herself in front of the big mirror. This is a strapless dress. It shows Nina's beautiful collarbone and long neck. It's a pity that the dress is tight, which highlights her slightly bulging belly. Nina shakes her head and goes back to the fitting room to take off her white dress and put on her own. Nina feels a little tired. She takes her bag and prepares to go back. Why hasn't Lucian come to pick her up yet? Nina whispers. He doesn't keep his promise. Nina is going out of the store with her bag. A sharp voice suddenly sounds behind her. Stop. You thief. Ah. Nina's arm is held tight before she can react. The shop assistant catches up. Her eyes are wide and fierce. She gnashes her teeth and shout, "You stole clothes and want to leave." No way. Her delicate face is very fierce at the moment. Nina can't help shivering, but she misunderstands it as fear. She has pride in her eyes. You. Open your bag and let me check it. She says viciously. You look like you can't afford it. You can't steal it even if you can't afford it. You are shameless. Nina's a little bit confused. The shop assistant grabs her arm ferociously. She is very sore. Nina is not polite. What are you doing? Let go of me. A shop assistant who looks a little gentler rushes to explain. Miss, the dark green dress you just tried is missing. You are the only one who has tried this dress just now. Please open your bag and let us check it. Nina thinks it is the funniest thing she has ever heard. I tried the dress, and it disappeared. I stole it. The shop assistant who is holding Nina's arm gives Nina a hard push. You're guilty. Why not open your bag for us to check? The floor is so smooth that Nina is pushed to the ground unprepared. She feels a lot of pain when her crotch hits the ground. Nina's face turns white with fear. The baby in her stomach can't be hurt. Nina quickly touches her stomach with her hands. She bursts into tears. Baby, are you okay? How are you doing? It's Mom's fault. Baby, you can't get hurt. Nina cries and talks to the baby in her stomach. The shop assistant who is a little kinder is also shocked. This woman is pregnant. The shop assistant who pushed Nina down is still shouting and scolding. Are you pretending to be a pregnant woman? Hand in your clothes, or you won't leave today. Nina doesn't care about her at all. She just touches her stomach with her hand. She looks down at her slightly bulging abdomen, remorse and fear. Her tears run down her face. It's noisy here. Andrew, let's go to another store. A soft female voice suddenly sounds. Nina turns her head in surprise when she hears the name, Andrew. They stare at each other in surprise. Andrew is standing in front of the store. He's holding Abby's hand. No, she doesn't want Andrew to see her in such a mess. She doesn't want Andrew to know she is pregnant. Nina turns her head quickly. She doesn't want Andrew to see her face. But it's too late. Andrew leaves Abby's hand and steps over. He gently lifts Nina with his strong arm. His magnetic voice is full of care and heartache. Nina, what's the matter with you? Who bullied you? Nina hurriedly wipes away tears from her face and shakes her head. It's okay. I'm fine. Abby is very alert. Who is this woman? Why is Andrew so nervous? She approaches Nina and feels her familiar. But she can't remember where she has seen her. Abby pulls Andrew's sleeve and quietly separates Andrew from Nina. Andrew, who is this lady? Abby's voice is still soft. She has a good upbringing. Even if she is angry, she will keep her dignity. Abby, this is Nina. Nina, this is my fiancé Abby. Andrew introduces them. Andrew struggles with the word fiancé. Nina. Abby remembers it all of a sudden. At the hospital that day, Andrew ran out looking for an old friend. That was the name he called. She asked the nurse later. The nurse said Andrew had been in the woman's ward for more than an hour. They spent more than an hour alone together. She didn't believe they were just chatting. Looking at Andrew's look at Nina, Abby knows that her big trouble is coming. A woman's intuition tells her that there's something between Andrew and Nina. Abby smiles and reaches out to Nina. Nice to meet you, Miss Morrison. She looks Nina up and down with a little mean in her eyes. Nina reluctantly smiles at Abby. She is worried about the baby in her stomach and is not in the mood to talk to her. Andrew, Abby, I'll go first. Take your time. Nina gently strokes her stomach and is ready to walk out the door. Stop. You can't leave without paying for the dress. The fierce shop assistant stops Nina. What's the matter? Andrew's soft voice hardens and goes to Nina's side to protect her behind him. She stole a dress. The fierce shop assistant points to Nina's nose. Abby comes over and pulls Andrew's sleeve. Andrew, it's her private business. We are not fit to take care of it. She doesn't want to help Nina. She wants to see her make a fool of herself. But she still has to pretend to avoid her privacy. Andrew ignores Abby at all. He says sternly, "This lady can't steal your clothes. If you keep pestering, I have to call the police." Andrew's momentum shocks the shop assistant. This gentleman is terrible when he gets angry. But she doesn't want to let Nina go. The facts are very clear. Why call the police? Let her open the bag. The dress must be in the bag. Andrew wants to talk but Nina raises her hand and stops him. Nina feels very tired. Her body and heart are tired. She just wants to end the farce quickly. Nina opens her bag and hands it to the shop assistant. Check it. The shop assistant looks into the bag expectantly. Her eyes widen in surprise. There is nothing in the bag except the mobile phone, key and wallet. Andrew looks at the tired Nina and he's upset. He says coldly to the shop assistant, "Now can you let this lady leave?" The shop assistant's eyes are turning fast. This dress is worth tens of thousands of dollars. If Nina leaves, she needs to bear the loss herself. Even if she didn't steal the dress, she must frame her. The shop assistant holds Nina's arm firmly. It was only after you tried the dress that it was lost. You have to be responsible for that. Nina is stunned. How can there be such a shameless person in the world? Andrew pulls the shop assistant away from Nina. There is a trace of disgust in his eyes. He doesn't want to talk to such unreasonable women. He takes out his wallet and fills in some figures on the check. He coldly throws it to the shop assistant. Take it. That's enough for 2 dresses. All of a sudden a loud noise startles everyone present. They look back and see a tall, handsome man standing behind them. He is smashing the vase decorated in the shop to the ground. It's Lucian. Why is he here? It's a mess here. Nina looks at Andrew and Lucian. She has a premonition that a storm is coming. Lucian kicks the glass and walks to the shop assistant. He picks up the check in her hand and slowly tears it to pieces. The shop assistant is frightened by his ferocity. She forgets to fight back. Lucian puts Nina in her arms and says lightly, "She belongs to me. She doesn't need someone else's check." His eyes are hostile to Andrew. Andrew smiles politely at Lucian in a soft voice. "Who are you, please?" Lucian doesn't pay any attention to Andrew. His cold eyes look at everyone present. The 2 shop assistants are shocked. They think that the man just now is terrible. This man is even more terrible. He is a devil. Lucian lets go of Nina and goes to the fierce shop assistant. He stands there and looks at her. There is no expression on his face, but his eyes are getting red. The shop assistant is frightened by his eyes and draws back. She looks at Lucian tremblingly. "It's not my fault. She stole." Before she has finished speaking, she is punched in the face. The shop assistant suddenly falls to the ground. Something comes out of her mouth. She feels her mouth and begins to cry out, "Help! He's going to kill me. My teeth." Lucian stands beside her fiercely. He gently raises his hand and throws the glass partition of clothes on the floor and smashes it to pieces. Every time the shop assistant howls, Lucian smashes one thing. The whole magnificent store has been smashed into a mess. Abby looks at Lucian, who is smashing the shop. She is a little envious. This man is cold but can protect his girl. But the girl is Nina. She is becoming more and more disgusted with her. Lucian is president of Grey Group. He is the most handsome and powerful man in City C. She didn't expect him to be Nina's boyfriend. Maybe she should try to make friends with him. After all, Grey Group is rich. If Grey Group can help her, her father's career will be better. Abby comes to Lucian and says softly, "President Grey, the shop assistant has suffered enough. Let her go today. I invite you and Miss Morrison to dinner." Lucian looks back. His cold eyes make Abby shiver. "I'm teaching the shop assistant a lesson. It's none of your business." Lucian's tone is as cool and domineering as ever. Abby blushes with embarrassment. Her eyes become colder as she looks at Nina. For this poor girl, Lucian makes a fool of her in front of Andrew. "Mr. Grey, please be polite." Andrew's voice is cold and his handsome face is a little white. He has heard of Lucian for a long time. He has a good head in business. He is very bold and decisive. He hears that he changes women like clothes. Every woman has a shelf life of no more than 7 days. How could Nina be with such a playful man? Nina pulls Lucian's sleeve. "Lucian. Nina just wants to get out of here." The situation embarrasses her. She looks up at Andrew. He is holding Abby slightly and patting her on the back. Nina suddenly feels a little sad. She droops her long lashes. At this moment, she realizes that Andrew is Abby's fiancé. He has nothing to do with her. Andrew is just a memory that will never come back. Lucian throws a vase, smashing the last complete mirror far away. Glass chips are scattered all over the ground. Lucian hugs Nina's waist and pulls away. "Nina, get in the car." Lucian opens the door for Nina. It's rare for him to be so gentle. Nina gives him a surprised look. What happened to this man today? She gets on the car with her legs moving. As she sits down, she lets out a low cry because of the pain in her hip. "What's wrong?" Lucian looks at her. His voice is a little strained. "Nothing." The shop assistant gave me a push. Nina says lightly. Although she has a slight pain in her hip due to a fall, there is no discomfort in her stomach. The baby should be okay. She doesn't want to make trouble. Lucian pauses and glances at Nina's stomach. Is it okay? Nina strokes her stomach. Yeah. Nina thinks it's weird. Lucian is not normal today. He cares about the baby. As he said before, the baby is like a shining green hat. Seeing her belly, he feels that his green hat is a little darker. She shakes her head, not thinking so much. She looks out of the window attentively. The car is galloping on the broad road. Both of them are quiet and stop talking. The red light is on. There is a lot of traffic at this intersection, and the red light lasts a long time. Nina reaches out to turn on the stereo. Her hand is held by Lucian and he hands a small velvet box to her. What is this? It looks like a jewelry box. Lucian is giving her jewelry. Nina stares at Lucian. Open it to see if you like it. Lucian's voice is faint. He bought it at the auction. It just arrived this morning. He didn't go to the dress shop with her just to get it. He didn't expect something to happen. Nina opens the velvet jewelry box. It's a ring. It's a dark blue diamond. It also radiates dazzling brilliance when not in the light. There are heart-shaped ripples in the middle of the gem. Exquisite inlay and perfect cutting make this gem invaluable. Ah, isn't this the heart of the sea? Nina lets out a low exclamation. The heart of the sea is said to be a love affair given by Louis XVI, the French king, to his secret lover Catherine in the early 13th century. Blue gems are not uncommon. What is rare is that there is a natural heart-shaped ripple in the middle of the gem. This is caused by the crystallization of the most precious chromium ore. This is the only thing in the world. Louis XVI cherished the lover who was not outstanding in appearance all his life, which makes the ring a symbol of eternal love. The jewel, which has disappeared in the world for more than 100 years, was bought by a mysterious buyer at an auction a few days ago for $11 million. Nina thinks of the news on TV she watched the day before yesterday. There are close-up photos of the heart of the sea on the news. It's gorgeous. Lucian takes the ring out of the velvet box and wants to put it on Nina's ring finger. Nina immediately clenches her hand and dodges. Lucian's hand with the ring freezes in the air. Huh. You don't like it? Lucian raises his eyes in displeasure. His eyes are a little chilly. Nina stares at the ring. She's speechless. She doesn't want to annoy Lucian. But she really can't accept his ring. Nina looks up at Lucian. Her tone is sincere. Lucian, do you know what a ring means? The little woman tells him the meaning of the ring seriously. The chill in Lucian's eyes fades. He raises his eyebrows. Go on. He is very interested in the subject. Nina takes a look at her bare ring finger and seriously says, if you don't want to marry that woman, don't give her a ring because it represents love and loyalty. Lucian looks at Nina's drooping eyes. Her long lashes cast a beautiful shadow over her face. He laughs instead of being angry and seems to be in a good mood. Nina, do you really want me to propose to you? Nina is shocked. Is there something wrong with her way of expression or with his understanding? Why is it that every time she says something, he understands it as something else? It's not easy to be my wife. Lucian takes Nina's hand and puts the ring on her. He puts Nina's hand in his palm and appreciates, but as long as you are good, I won't be bored with you so soon. Nina is speechless. President Gray, should I thank you for appreciating me? Compared with your other mistresses, I am so honored. Nina doesn't take off the ring. Since he gives it to her, she accepts it. Anyway, she doesn't suffer. She's just a mistress. Her master is happy and gives her a ring. She actually tells him the meaning of the ring. It's ridiculous. Lucian doesn't seem to recognize the irony in her words. He pinches her face in a good mood. I wish you know the honor. Be obedient in the future, and gather up the thorns on your body. Nina is speechless. The car is driven directly to a private image studio. In the hall, two lines of men and women who dress in fashionable clothes shout, President Gray. Lucian answers casually. He pulls Nina, who doesn't want to come in. Nina looks at the group of people standing in front of her and looks at Lucian doubtfully. What is the man going to do? Give you an hour. Lucian speaks coldly. He glances at Nina and sits down on the big sofa. Okay, President Gray. You will be satisfied. Nina suddenly feels cold on her back. Before she reacts, a group of people have rushed to her. Nina sees them take out a lot of makeup tools and all kinds of clothes. She realizes that Lucian has brought her here for the dinner. Nina is speechless. She has no patience with these things. She is tired and just wants to sleep in the big bed. Her long black hair is washed and dried. 4 people surround her for half an hour, and finally they decide to make her an elegant and noble companion. Nina lets the stylist do her hair. She dozes off in the chair. Miss Morrison, it's done. You can get up and have a look. A gentle female voice suggests. In the large glass mirror, the sleepy Nina is wearing a low-cut white evening dress and a dazzling set of jewelry. She is very dignified. Well, it's good. That's it. Nina just wants it done. President Gray, is it okay? The stylist proudly pushes Nina to Lucian, who looks down at the newspaper. Lucian looks up at Nina's hair and face. He seems very satisfied. When he sees Nina's chest, his eyes become cold. He smashes the newspaper in his hand on the stylist's face. Change her clothes. If you're not good enough, get out of here. The hateful stylist even dresses his woman up as a coquette. The man outside will stare at her chest. Lucian's angry voice makes the stylist's bow and apologize. Nina rolls her eyes in secret. The stylist just picks the clothes that doesn't fit his mind, and he smashes the newspaper on his head. He's just a man of no culture, no quality, no humanity. But she wisely chooses silence. She doesn't want to piss Lucian off. The stylist carefully asks, President Gray, what style do you think is good? Not coquettish style. Lucian roars in a forthright voice. Nina suddenly blushes. Is she very coquettish now? Isn't this dress low cut? Many of today's dresses are designed in this way. Many stars and noble ladies like to wear this kind of dress. The stylists are clearly as confused as she is. They all look back at her. They want to find out why the dress is coquettish. All male stylists get out of here. Lucian stands up with a roar. His eyes are filled with anger. The male stylists flees quickly for fear of angering the president and losing their jobs. The female stylists are trembling. They put hundreds of dresses on the shelves and push them down in front of Nina so she can sift through them one by one. She finally chooses a dress with a little shawl. Her white chest is covered up. Lucian's anger finally subsides. He looks around Nina. Her dress fits well and Nina has grown a lot since she becomes pregnant. She slowly changes from a girl to a sexy woman. The dress's clever design covers her slightly raised belly and makes it completely invisible to others. In front of Lucian is a beautiful little woman with some charm. Lucian's eyes are on Nina. He drops his business card and asks the stylist to pay for it. Then he takes Nina to the car. As soon as they get in, Lucian presses the curtain button. The car darkens at once. Lucian has kissed Nina's lips when she is confused. His enthusiasm is like a burning fire. When Nina is dizzy, Lucian suddenly lets her go. Nina opens her big eyes and finds that Lucian has left her body. He is staring at her. Nina, you seem to enjoy it. Lucian jokes. Nina wants to find a hole to drill in. Her face is red with anger and her chest is up and down. Well, Don't be shy. I will satisfy you well when we go back in the evening. Lucian finds that he likes to quarrel with Nina more and more. It's a pleasure to flirt with her and see her angry and embarrassed. Nina turns her head and ignores Lucian. She never gets the upper hand in quarreling with him. Nina is wearing a sleeveless dress. The air conditioning on the car is a little cold. Nina shrinks her shoulders. There are some small gooseflesh on her white and tender arms. Put it on. Lucian takes off his coat and hands it to Nina. Nina takes the coat and puts it on. Lucian's breath fills the tip of her nose. Lucian's smell is cold with a hint of cologne. His smell is arrogant, too. Nina remembers Andrew's light mint scent. She is a little stuffy and sighs. Why do you sigh? Lucian asks, frowning as he looks down the driveway. Nothing. Nina closes her eyes and pretends to sleep. She's not stupid and can't tell Lucian the truth. Lucian gives a cold snort. What's Abby's fiancé's name? Nina is shocked. Though she still closes her eyes, her long lashes shake. Lucian can see it clearly with the remaining light from the corner of his eye. Why do you ask this all of a sudden? Nina tries to pretend nothing happened. Lucian looks back at Nina. His eyes are sharp. Do you know him? Nina is shocked. No. How could I know him? Lucian's eyes are colder. His voice is a little harsh, too. Nina, you'd better be honest. Nina mumbles. Why are you so fierce? She pulls back to Lucian's coat and whispers, he and I are from City A. We've seen each other before. You just saw each other. Lucian is more angry. Nina, do you think I'm a fool? That man's eyes at Nina are not right at all. Nina knows Lucian is not so easy to cheat, so she has to be honest and tell half the truth. He used to be my neighbor. Lucian twists Nina's chin with one hand. His eyes are fixed on hers as if to study whether she has lied or not. Nina tries to make her eyes innocent. After a while, Lucian lets go. His voice is cold. The fifth rule of lovers' rule: without my permission, you are not allowed to talk to other men casually. You are insane. Nina swears to God that she doesn't really want to piss Lucian off. But Lucian goes too far. I know. I'm just a mistress. But aren't mistresses humans? I don't even have the most basic human freedom. I'm betraying you when I talk to other men. You know if you've betrayed me. Lucian glances at Nina's stomach. His looks bad. You. Nina is completely speechless. Her heart is tingling. Lucian uncovers her biggest scar and pain. She pulls Lucian's coat off and throws it at him. Give it back to you. Lucian slams on the brakes. The tires screeches on the ground. Nina, don't provoke me. Lucian's eyes are as cold as a knife. Nina looks up at Lucian. She's a little scared, too. Reluctantly, she closes her eyes and goes on pretending to sleep. She doesn't want to see Lucian's hateful face. There is a stifling silence in the car. The car speeds along the road. Nina falls asleep in a slight bump. Lucian glances at Nina and finds that the little woman has fallen asleep. He is angry again. This woman is very cruel. They were quarreling just now, but now she is asleep. He reaches out his long fingers to poke Nina in the face to wake her up. But his hand suddenly stops in midair. Nina sleeps soundly. It's a little cold in the car. She holds her arms tightly and shrinks her body to a small size. Her long eyelashes cast a charming shadow on her white and clear face. Her ruddy mouth is slightly open, which makes her sleeping face have a baby-like innocence. Lucian stares at Nina. His fierce eyes soften and he dotes on her. He puts the coat back on her. When Lucian sees that she is content to press her chin closer to the warm coat, he is smiling. The car arrives at the dinner party. There are many luxury cars in the parking lot. Both men and women are well dressed, which adds a lot to this grand banquet. Nina is still sleeping. Lucian stops the car and turns off the engine. He lowers his seat and holds his hands behind his head, gazing at Nina's sleeping face. The violence in his eyes disappears. At this moment, anyone who sees this scene in the car will think that they are a loving couple. This little girl is lovely when she is good. Lucian sees Nina's delicate white fingers on her coat. On the finger, the heart of the sea is shining with bright brilliance. He suddenly remembers what Nina has said. Do you know the meaning of the ring? There is a smile on the corner of his mouth. Is this little woman forcing him to marry her? Nina in her sleep seems to feel Lucian's gaze. She suddenly feels cold all over. As soon as she opens her eyes, she finds an enlarged face in front of her. Ah! A sharp scream scares the man who peeps at her. Lucian reacts and flicks Nina's little head. What are you shouting at? Lucian hides the tenderness in his eyes. His eyes turn cold again. Why do you peep at me sleeping? It's scary. Nina taps her chest. Her heart is still beating wildly. Peek. Do I need to peek at you? I've seen every part of your body. Lucian says solemnly. You. Nina's face flushes with anger. This man has the ability to speak dirty words without blushing. Wipe your saliva. Don't lose your face at the party later. Lucian looks at Nina in disgust. Ah. Nina is so embarrassed that she thinks she was really drooling when she fell asleep. She quickly pulls up her clothes to wipe the corners of her mouth. Nina, you're stupid. Lucian is angry at last. Nina uses his coat to clean her mouth. Although it doesn't really touch saliva, it's disgusting enough. Lucian has a habit of cleanliness. Ha ha, you made me do it. This time she drives Lucian crazy. Nina is in a very good mood. She purposely hands the coat to Lucian. It's delicious. Try it. It is sour, sweet and nutritious. It's delicious. Before Lucian gets angry, Nina jumps out of the car. The sky darkens and the light casts a soft shadow over her face. This smiling little woman is as happy as a simple child. Lucian smiles, too. He locks the car and goes out to grab Nina's hand. Come on, dirty woman. In the resplendent hall, the lights are bright and men and women shuttle back and forth. Nina holds her forehead. It's really troublesome. She hates all kinds of social activities. People fake smiles and pretend to be interested in other people's topics. This is the most boring thing in the world. What's wrong? Lucian takes a look at her. I hate social intercourse. I want to sleep at home. You forced me to come here. Nina pouts and complains. You don't need social intercourse. Don't talk if you don't want to. No one dares to do anything to you. Lucian's tall stature is domineering. In his dictionary, there has never been the word social intercourse. He has always been so arbitrary that he doesn't care about other people's eyes at all. However, people around him are submissive to him. They serve him as a prince. His life is so smooth that he doesn't need to be submissive or pretend to smile. Nina sighs. Lucian was born into a wealthy family, and he certainly doesn't experience the pain of social intercourse. Because everyone else obeys him. He just needs to do what he wants. Wait. Lucian stops when he pulls her to the hall. He stares at her head, frowning slightly. Why? Nina asks, puzzled. What's he doing? Lucian ignores Nina's question. He looks around and finally sees the garden next to him. Wait for me here. Lucian leaves Nina a sentence and goes to the garden. As the night grows darker, she can't see what Lucian is doing in the garden. All she sees is that he stoops as if picking flowers. What the hell? Nina curls her upper lip. Is he going to pick a rose for me? He is so naive and old-fashioned. Nina mutters. She must laugh at him when he comes back. Lucian comes back with his right hand behind him. Hey, I don't like roses. Nina looks up arrogantly and decides to embarrass Lucian. Really? What about this one? Lucian takes his right hand out from behind. His movements are extremely elegant. A blooming iris lies quietly in the palm of his hand. The beautiful butterfly shape and dark blue color match her blue jewelry very well. What? Nina is a little surprised. Will someone send a single iris? Lucian pulls Nina closer to him. Nina's chin is almost on his chest. Hey, what are you doing? This is a public place. You can't do that. Nina is shocked. She thinks Lucian is going to do something. She quickly puts her hand on Lucian's chest. Woman, are you too obscene? What you think is wrong? Lucian doesn't let Nina move. He lowers his head and carefully places the iris in Nina's long hair. Nina finds it ironic that Lucian says she is obscene. Is it the turn of the bad to despise the good? Nina is trying to contradict him. She raises her eyes to see Lucian's sharp chin. His chin is clean, but she can see the green stubble under the skin. He has a faint taste of cologne. He has serious eyes and long hands. Nina suddenly finds out that Lucian is a sexy man. Nina's face is a little hot and she pushes Lucian away. Lucian looks up and down at her. He laughs. It looks like you're not ugly. I'm not ugly. I am so beautiful. Especially your green leaves standing beside me make me look like a fairy. Nina hits back. Her big eyes glare at Lucian. There seems to be something shining in her eyes, which makes people indulge in it. There is a delicate iris in full bloom on her dark hair, which makes her skin very white. Lucian's desire for her is greatly increased. Lucian aggressively kisses Nina's lips and puts his mark on her. There's a threat in his voice. You know how pretty you are. Don't hook up with others at the dinner party later. Remember, don't talk to other men without my permission. Are you bored? Hey. Nina is dragged to the hall by Lucian before she finishes. There are many people in the hall. As soon as Lucian appears, he is greeted frequently. President Gray, you're here today. It's a great honor. President Gray, I heard that Group Gray has acquired another large enterprise. Congratulations. There is an endless stream of flattery. Lucian ignores them. He doesn't nod or even look at these people. But these people are not embarrassed. They all know Lucian is ruthless. Lucian. A magnetic male voice comes. Lucian stops. Nina looks up and sees Jarvis. Jarvis laughs as usual. He reaches out his right hand to Nina and is ready to handshake politely. Miss Morrison, you are beautiful today. Lucian pushes Jarvis's hand away. Don't reach out. He draws Nina closer to his arms. Nina looks down and ignores Lucian's words and Jarvis's greetings. Jarvis takes a surprised look at Nina. Nina in his mind is a very polite and cultivated girl. Why is she so rude today? Lucian frowns. He raises Nina's chin in disbelief. Why don't you talk? Are you not feeling well? Nina stares at Lucian. I'm feeling very well. Lucian squints. Then why don't you talk? Nina shrugs and says, without your permission, I dare not talk to other men. After hearing Nina's words, Lucian's face changes. Aha! Jarvis, who is surprised for a long time, bursts out laughing. Lucian's little lover is very interesting. Finally someone can compete with Lucian. I will punish you when I go back at night. Lucian gives Nina a look. He lowers his voice and threatens her. Nina has a pain and glares at Lucian discontentedly. You are too hard to serve. Who are you? You dare to say that President Gray is hard to serve? Who gave you courage? With a strong fragrance, a charming woman appears. Nina recognizes that the woman with delicate makeup and exposed dress is Kristen, who was intimate with Lucian that night. She recently made a new film, so she is very popular. She is being advertised everywhere. Nina turns around and doesn't want to talk to her. Everyone can hear the irony in Kristen's words. She doesn't want to talk to her because she doesn't want to embarrass herself. Kristen's face turns red when she sees Nina ignoring her. Kristen is the focus everywhere. Now Lucian, The president of Group Gary and Jarvis, the leader of entertainment industry are here. Everyone in the hall is looking here. Is Nina trying to embarrass her by ignoring her? Kristen hides the ferocity in her eyes. She wriggles to Lucian and puts her white arm around his waist. Lucian, long time no see. Have you forgotten me? Lucian looks at Nina, who are pretending to look at the scenery, and then looks at Kristen. He releases Nina's hand and grabs Kristen's waist. Do you miss me? Nina shakes her shoulders and feels sick. She doesn't expect Lucian to be so gentle. Since Lucian and Kristen are flirting, she can make room for them. As she is about to walk back, Lucian moves quietly to block Nina. The play just starts. How could he let the heroine go? He doesn't know why he likes to tease Nina. He likes to see her jealous. But Nina never seems to be jealous. Thinking of this, Lucian frowns slightly. Jarvis stands smiling and sees everything. Seeing Lucian stop Nina, Jarvis whispers in Lucian's ear, "Don't go too far. I don't think Miss Morrison has a good temper." Then he leaves with a goblet. He is afraid that Lucian's sharp eyes will cut him to pieces later. Kristen finds something wrong with Lucian and recognizes Nina was the audience who watched her show that night. She feels a little upset at once. Lucian has a lot of lovers, but the little girl obviously has different status in his heart. Kristen looks at Nina with critical eyes. She has a beautiful face but a bad figure. She is thin but her stomach is big. This kind of woman with poor figure dares to stay with President Gray. She's just cheeky. Kristen feels she is more likely to win. Her voice is sweeter. "President Gray, will you accompany Kristen to the terrace to enjoy the moon? The moon is beautiful tonight." Lucian turns his eyes and finds Nina looking at the picture on the wall. She doesn't even notice what he and Kristen are talking about. His eyes turn cold and he snorts. Lucian raises his voice on purpose. "Kristen, I'll go there with you to enjoy the moon." He looks at the little woman's reaction. She doesn't respond. She is staring at a painting hanging on the wall. She seems fascinated. Lucian's eyes are more angry. He hugs Kristen and deliberately walks past Nina's line of sight. He is angry but smiles at Kristen, as if he was really happy to see her. On the wall is a portrait of Princess Margaret painted by the Italian realistic oil painting master Anaghini. She saw the painting in World Art Appreciation. She and Andrew sat under the cherry tree on campus and watched it side by side. 3 years ago, when the breeze blew, the cherry blossom petals fell on the books, the ground and her hair. Andrew gently helped remove the petal from her hair. He smiled at her. His eyes were brighter than the stars. Nina suddenly feels a little sad. Why is Miss Morrison here alone? "Oh, I think I saw your boyfriend Lucian and Kristen on the terrace over there." A soft, ironic voice pulls Nina back to reality. It's Abby. Nina is shocked. She subconsciously looks to her side, and there is no one else around her. Andrew doesn't show up. She is relieved at once. Nina nods and smiles at Abby. She is going away. "Miss Morrison, I heard you're Andrew's sister." Abby doesn't give up at all. Now Andrew goes to the car to get something for her. She must find out about it. "Yes." Nina replies briefly. She doesn't want to see Andrew on this occasion. She doesn't want Andrew to know that she's not Lucian's girlfriend but his mistress. "Miss Morrison, I think you know that Andrew and I are engaged. If you have feelings for Andrew, I advise you to give up earlier. Although President Gray doesn't take you seriously, you shouldn't think about someone else's fiancé." Nina bites her lips. She wants to say, "Miss Lewis, you'd better care about yourself." But she holds back. Abby is Andrew's fiancé, after all. Let her go this time. Nina bites her lips and turns away. She doesn't notice how cold Abby's eyes are. On the terrace, Kristen tries her best to hold Lucian's attention. She keeps complimenting him, but Lucian seems to ignore her. Her dress is low-cut and she took off her new bra while Lucian wasn't paying attention. Now she doesn't wear underwear. At that time, she became a first-line star from a bar girl by her own chest. Today she can conquer Lucian with it. Lucian, what are you thinking? Kristen hugs Lucian. Lucian stares at a man walking across the lawn. He is a tall, fair and elegant man. Lucian frowns slightly. Isn't he the man who signed a check at the dress shop to pay for the dress? He is the fiancé of the mayor's daughter Abby. Nina said he was her neighbor. He later investigated that the man was indeed from City A. He came to City C not long ago. Nina didn't lie to him. But when Lucian sees the man, he doesn't feel well. Nina, I'll punish you if you lie to me. Thinking of Nina, Lucian looks into the hall. She's not in the hall. He doesn't know where she has gone. Her man is on the terrace with other women. She doesn't even come to see them. She's an inattentive woman. Nina, are you thinking about me? Lucian almost growls. He squints slightly. It seems that he should teach this little girl a good lesson. The idea makes Lucian a little hot. Kristen has been watching Lucian's expression. She sees Lucian excited and thinks it is her credit. She presses her body closer to Lucian's body. She keeps her voice down and she whispers, Lucian, I'm a little tired. Let's go upstairs and have a drink. With that, she deliberately blows into Lucian's ear. Nina is pregnant, so he doesn't dare to sleep with her. Even if they do, he doesn't dare to work hard so he can't enjoy himself. Now Lucian is a little excited after being teased by Kristen. After they go to bed together, Kristen decides to go to the bathroom and clean herself up. Kristen is in a very happy mood. She goes to the bathroom humming and seems to see the bright future beckoning to her. A girl in white is washing her hands in front of the washing table in the bathroom. Kristen takes a look at her and is about to take the powder box out of her handbag. She thinks something is wrong and looks back at the girl. Oh, isn't she Lucian's little maid? Lucian was by her side just now, so she didn't teach her a lesson. She didn't expect to meet her here. Kristen's big, delicate eyes flashes a gleam of pride. She deliberately walks up to Nina. Nina moves aside and focuses on washing her hands. She ignores Kristen at all. She doesn't seem to see anyone next to her at all. Kristen is furious. She is a popular star and is the focus everywhere. She's just a pretty little maid. How dare she not respect her? Kristen walks over to wash her hands and thinks quickly. She has to teach this rude little girl a good lesson. Kristen glances at Nina's apparently valuable dress, deliberately holding the faucet's outlet so that the water column faces Nina. The slender water column splashes all over Nina. Nina's dress on the chest is immediately soaked. Kristen's big, charming eyes proudly look at Nina. She just wants to embarrass her today. She wants to see what this little girl can do to her. Nina is startled by the sudden water column and looks at Kristen with her eyes wide open. She sees Kristen look at her defiantly and is not prepared to apologize. She is trying to embarrass me. Nina thinks it's funny. Kristen is in her 20s. Why is her way of revenge so childish? Nina shakes her head and picks up the tissue on the washstand and presses it on the dress slowly, hoping to absorb the water. Kristen waits a long time. Nina doesn't get angry and doesn't look at her at all. She is more angry. She ignores her. It's more hateful to ignore than to fight back, because it shows that the other side doesn't take her seriously at all. Kristen snorts. Aren't you Lucian's little maid? Are you his mistress? Nina doesn't want to talk to Kristen when she insults her. The water on the dress is almost absorbed. Nina picks up the paper towel and throws it into the garbage can next to her to leave. Kristen fails to humiliate Nina several times, and her frustration deepens. She blinks and says, Guess who I was with in the VIP lounge? Nina stops. She finished reading the famous paintings in the banquet hall and was going to look for Lucian, only to find that he and Kristen disappeared together. Nina bites her lips and doesn't speak. She stops for a second and goes on to the door. She doesn't want to talk to Kristen at all. The more you take her seriously, the happier she is. Kristen sees Nina stops as she knows her words are working. She decides to continue humiliating Nina. Guess what we did in the lounge? Nina backs Kristen. Her eyes widen in surprise. She has no shame. She wants so much to tell her about her affair. The world is crazy. Nina shakes her head. She doesn't want to talk to Kristen and goes straight out the door. Stop. Listen, you don't deserve to be with Lucian. You'd better stay away from him or you'll be punished. Kristen's pride disappears. When she sees Nina's lofty face, she really wants to tear her little white face. What's going on today? Why do all women warn her to stay away from their men? Nina, calm down. She turns and looks at Kristen coldly. I really want to stay away from Lucian. If you can find a way for Lucian to let me go, I will thank you very much. Then she leaves the uncomfortable bathroom with her head up and her chest up. Kristen's face is red with anger. She grabs the green plant next to the wash basin and hits it hard on the ground. Nina is challenging her. She thinks Lucian loves her and dares to talk to her like this. It seems necessary for her to teach her a lesson. Kristen picks up her cell phone and dials a number. She says a few words in a low voice. The person on the other end of the phone replies, "Don't worry. I promise it will be perfect." Kristen hangs up with a grim smile on her face. Nina goes out of the bathroom and wants to breathe on the lawn. There are too many people in the hall. She is bored by the hypocritical entertainment and the polite talk. She meets Lucian just around the corner. Next to him stands several men and women. Nina, come here, Lucian says. His tone is intimate but more like summoning a maid. Everyone around Lucian is looking at Nina. Nina mutters, "Shit." But she has no choice but to walk over slowly. Next to Lucian stands a woman. She smiles, but there is a little disdain in her eyes. She asks Nina, "Are you Miss Morrison? Lucian mentioned you just now. Are you Lucian's girlfriend?" Girlfriend. Nina suddenly thinks the word sounds weird. It's a good word with integrity. It's not as gloomy, wretched and humble as mistress sounds. But unfortunately, Nina can't use the word. Nina looks up at Lucian who is smiling. She doesn't answer yes or no. She is just silent. Nina doesn't answer, so the woman is embarrassed. She has to change the subject. Lucian's faint smile disappears completely. His eyes are full of displeasure. They leave after a chat. Only Nina and Lucian are left. Nina is still silent. She refuses to look at Lucian and is looking at the lawn. The breeze blows and the petals of the trees fall to the ground. It's beautiful and sad. Lucian pinches her arm hard with her powerful arm. He asks her to turn around and face him. Why didn't you talk just now? His voice is cold. Say what? Should I say I'm not your girlfriend or I'm just a mistress? Nina looks at Lucian and even smiles. But the smile infuriates Lucian. What? Is it disgraceful to be my mistress? His arm is harder, and Nina feels her arm is about to break, but she stubbornly refuses to ask him to let go. She is still pinched by Lucian. How can it be disgraceful to be a mistress of President Gray? It's a great honor. Many women want to do it. Nina looks down and says softly, "Since you know, why does your expression show that you feel disgraceful?" Lucian lets go a little. He raises Nina's face to look at her. Nina smiles angrily. It's a satire. President Gray is so naive that he can't hear people satirizing him. Seeing Nina smile, Lucian's anger slowly dissipates. But his eyes are still sharp, and he says to Nina, "Answer me. Why did you just show that expression? Nina frowns. President Gray, does this question make sense? If you are bored, you can go to Kristen. She will be happy to talk to you in depth. Lucian is a little surprised. He is staring at Nina. His voice is a little warm. Kristen. Lucian's surprise makes Nina uncomfortable. She turns away and doesn't look at him. Didn't you just have a deep conversation in the lounge and have a good time? Ha ha. Lucian suddenly raises his head and bursts out laughing. Nina bites her lips in panic. What is she doing? Why did she say so? Sure enough, Lucian looks down at Nina. He has a smile on his face and a happy light in his eyes. Nina, are you jealous? His lips are close to her ears, and the heat swirls in them. His voice is contented and provocative. He seems to be in a good mood. Nina looks up. Her voice is very quiet and she has a sweet smile on her face. Of course not. If Kristen can make you happy, it's great. Then should I thank you? Lucian's face suddenly darkened. His voice is frightfully cold. Before Nina can answer, Lucian leans forward and holds her tightly in his arms. He kisses her lips and bites them with punishment. How can this man get into a frenzy anytime and anywhere? Nina tries to push him away, but his strong chest holds her tightly. She is surrounded by him and has no way to escape. She is forced to bear his passionate kiss. Nina thinks about what Lucian and Kristen has just done in the lounge. He must have kissed Kristen just now. He has the smell of other women. She suddenly feels very sick. She struggles desperately to turn away from his kiss. She is obviously dodging. Lucian can only kiss her face. Nina dodges him like a bacterium. She frowns as if she were suffering greatly. Lucian stops. There is great anger in his eyes. He suddenly pushes Nina away and yells, "Get out of here!" Lucian's roar is so loud that people nearby are watching them. Nina feels embarrassed. With Lucian, she's always easy to be the focus of attention. She hates this feeling. She looks at Lucian. Lucian is looking at her, too. His handsome face is very cold now. He stares at her as if to kill her. Nina frowns at the bottom of her heart. Every time he gets angry, it's strange. What did she do to make him angry? Since he likes to be with other women, she smiles and blesses him. She is not jealous. Why on earth is he angry? She doesn't want to think again. Nina calmly pushes him away. I see. I'm off. She is eager to go back to bed early. She is very tired today. Have a good time with other women. She turns away without hesitation. As soon as she gets out of the hall, she finds that there is a wind outside. The night wind blows on her, freezing to the bone. Nina hugs her arms and walks out of the gate. She looks as she walks. It seems that there are all villas here, and there is no taxi. Nina just saw on the terrace that there seems to be a path leading to the main road. There may be a taxi there. She turns to the path. Lucian is furious to see Nina leave without hesitation. The woman didn't beg him for mercy. She doesn't realize why he is angry. If Kristen didn't excite him and he wanted to see Nina's attitude, he doesn't know that Nina doesn't take him seriously for so many days. She never cares for him. Even if she quarrels with him like a couple and they go shopping hand in hand. Even if he puts down his work and spends all day with her. She still doesn't take him seriously. Nina never falls in love with him. Lucian clenches his hand into a fist. His knuckles turn white. Lucian stares angrily at Nina's back. Nina, good job. Lucian turns to the hall. There are many women in the world and he doesn't have to be with Nina. Now another man is staring at Nina. That's Andrew. When Lucian just roared, Andrew looked at them. He saw Nina's familiar figure. She looked so beautiful against the light. The white dress made her look like a pure fairy. There was a blue iris in her hair, which made her pure and playful. Andrew sees Nina leave alone after their quarrel and he wants to catch up with her. But Mayor Lewis beside him is introducing his latest achievements. It's always impolite to interrupt the elders. Andrew has to control himself and try to pretend to listen to Mayor Lewis. Watching Nina go farther and farther and disappear into the woods, Andrew can't help but hurriedly say to Mayor Lewis, "Uncle, I have something very important to do and I have to leave first." With that, he ignores the strange eyes of the people around him and runs to the path. He must catch up with Nina. Lucian yelled at her just now. Nina must be very sad now. He wants to comfort her. Andrew doesn't want to see Nina cry.